Okay, thank you very much. Now, to my surprise, I think we are around, we are in the fifth week since we started this, and Ruto has never gone abroad anymore. So, I like this guy actually, this guy is first of all is a robber. He's been robbing Kenyans from whatever little Kenyans have in their pocket. I want to address mostly my fellow Luos, because I'm one of the Luos. Uh, we have toxic people, toxic politicians within us, and like everyone listens to Raila. So it's like Raila's infiltrated me with something that is very toxic. And I think last time on Thursday we had some goons in Homa Bay who could protest against the protesters, who could beat the protesters who were very peaceful because they have been paid by such a politician. So to my fellow Luos na wale wamama ambao wako nyumbani, tafadhali, 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 it is the right time we should wake up. Let us not be keeping on listening to Raila, sijui mara yendi amesema, sijui nini, sijui nini. No, it is the time we should wake up to avoid tribalism. There was a time some of these politicians said like, oh, the fight is for them. Why should we get involved? We have been fighting ever since 1960, whatever. Now let them fight against themselves. That is tribalism of the highest order, and we should not tolerate that. We as Gen Zs and millennials and the alphas, we want to make Kenya a better place for each and everyone. Ruto has to go because right now is the problem. You cannot recycle the cabinets who are there before. You cannot bring the old faces, and you cannot like last time vile alisema Mars G want to make us uh, around the table with dialogue or on whatever. No, dialogue is part of what? Part of and like encouraging them to be in power. If Ruto can go before 2027, kindly, if Ruto can go before 2027, I think we'll be having a better country. So, to my submission, let us march together, let us occupy everywhere. Kesho, wale ambao wanaenda church leo, don't leave politicians the podium to address. Wale ambao wataenda kesho, the same. Monday, vivo hivo. We should be restless, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wangao. Let's go to our next speaker. Your 3 minutes begin now. Okay, seems I have to call the names. And if I call the names, I'm going to rearrange the order. Billy, talk to us. 3 minutes begin now. Billy, are you there? Billy Mijungu. Okay. Let's go to W Mungadi at yahoo.com. Your 3 minutes begin now.
Yes, thank you, Ayo. I'm James Mugeni from Busia, from Uganda. I first want to thank you people for what you have done, because I'm basically here to study, to follow, and because we are trying to replicate, we are trying to follow what you have done. You know, for us, we have been in captivity for 40 years. And when you started, when the Gen Z of Kenya started, they motivated us, and you have seen everybody's addressing us, ministers, what have you. Don't emulate the Gen Z of Kenya. And we are like, no. They have started something that we are seeing producing results for them. We are following it. So if you see what is happening in Uganda, we are replicating, we are mobilizing. Now, I got interested when somebody mentioned closing borders, closing the Nyangata. You said Langata, Mombasa Road. If you did that for us, because if it is said, if when Kenya catches a cold, when Kenya sneezes, Uganda catches a cold. Close off Kenya, then you'll have liberated us, because Ugandans will poor on the street en masse. There's no way if you starved us, hunger will not bring us out. All our goods pass through you, through Kenya. So we are hoping that Busia border will be closed, Malaba border will be closed, and even the new oil, whatever, that port they're opening on Lake Victoria through Kisumu will be closed, such that Uganda can be liberated. We have suffered under Museveni, and there are a few things that I'm seeing in Kenya that are being exactly the same like it used to be in Uganda. If you heard of killing of women in Wakiso, there was a group of people that started killing women, and they killed so many women. I have seen this thing happening now in Kenya. It's like it's a system they use. Now there's that Somali friend of ours who was talking. Trust me, for us who have lived in this, there will be bombs thrown such that security dominates again. That's what they do. Within the system, goons are planted. And the goons that are destroying business. But if somebody has said Kenya has closed, why would somebody say they want to do business? And I'm so happy about it. Is it Josephine who said only medics? I'm a medic. Only medics should work because you are saving lives. For now, close for innovation. And if you're closing, then you're closing East Africa. You're helping all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You utilized your 3 minutes so well. Let's go on to the next. Kenyan lady.
Well, hello, everybody. I know you can hear me, so I am gonna go straight to my point. Oh my God. Yet, yeah. Okay, so let me start here. Can we sanitize our environment? I do understand that nataka watu ati sijui waje hapa and they speak their mind and we listen to them. Let me tell you, I know there's democracy and there's abuse of democracy. So there are people who are coming in to abuse that democracy. So if you keep letting people air their views, even if they're against the movement, that is not going to be, the right. I don't know. I don't know where we will be headed with that. So I would just advise, or I hold the alignment that these spaces should just be for those that are pro-movement. If you are for the government, that does not make us opposition. We are in the opposition. That makes us Raila. You know what I'm saying? This is a platform where we should be able to be speaking our issues of pro-movement. I mean, there are so many barazas out there that they can form. They can go to Itumbe, they can have their own spaces. So, end of rant as far as that. So, a very, very important point that I want to make. Sorry? Am I?
Sorry, Dennis, it's either you mute your mic or you get dropped. Please, space discipline, eh? Sorry. Kenyan lady, continue.
All right. So there's one question that has been asked over and over and over and over, and I want you guys to listen to me. The older millennials, young Gen Xers that are here, they can stand with me on this point. So watu wanashinda wakiuliza what next? Okay, Raila actually asked, okay, so remove Ruto, what next? That is number one, to justify that there's nobody else that can rule other than the political elite. That's the number one point that you need to know they're trying to make. That without us, what do you think you can do without us? We are the ones who are gonna lead, and even if it means that we are leading by the fist, that's what we are gonna do. So that's exactly the point that they are trying to make, which we should rebel against. That question of what next. So now let me give you the answers, my response to what next. And I will give you a very, very good example. When we brought Kibaki to power, I was very, very young. I was young and I remember everything. I remember the following day after we voted, I think it must have been probably the first time that I voted or something like that. I remember people coming from all over because somebody was trying to sell KICC, and this is very, very figurative what I'm saying. Moi was trying to sell a KICC and was not successful. So I remember when we chose Kibaki, the following day, everybody was singing around KICC. And there was another, is it Intercontinental Hotel or Hilton Hotel? One of those hotels, they belonged to the country. They had not been privatized yet. And I remember KICC is one of those facilities that Moi was just about to sell it, just like the way JKIA is about to be sold. Watu walikuwa naimba, mali yetu, mali yetu. I remember very, very, very well. And I think I will try to see if I can pull those footages. So what is to happen next is that us, the movement, will be the leaders. And we will appoint these leaders once we straighten up Ruto and his people and all these demagogues, including Raila, when they leave. Because that's our priority. Ruto must go with the entire system and everybody else. We will have our leaders. I remember that was the first time Najib Balala was able to make his way into the parliament. Very, very, very many people were the first time, attendees, or they were the first time visitors of parliament, or what do I say? MPs, they were first time MPs, and they did not even know how the rule of the orders went, when you were supposed to lift your hand, when you were supposed, but they were mentored through, and there were so many of them that came in the first time, So let me tell you something. When they tell you what next is we become leaders. Again, when we elected Kibaki, we had so many members of parliament that showed up the first time as members of parliament, the first time as cabinet. They did not even know how the rules go. They did not even know how the house, the floor rules were going. And they got educated as they went. They educated themselves as they went. So first we remove Ruto. And the second thing, we will get our leaders. When that call comes, we will get our leaders. So let them leave us alone. We saw it in Kibaki. We saw very, very many new faces. We saw very many people who built their career after Kibaki, and that's what's going to happen to us and our movement. So that's the first point I want to do. Sorry?
As you wind up, your time is up.
No, I'm not winding up. I have to make my point. I've been here long enough. I don't think 4 minutes is over, but I will make my second point.
We have to be fair to everyone. We have to be fair to everyone.
Okay. Then I'll yield. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. You'll come back on the next round. Let me go to the next speaker, Kibongong.
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead, please. We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. Mimi, I have ways we could improve this Maandamano. And I think we're headed in the right direction. We're all very upset with how systems are being run. Iyo hasira, ifai kuisha, let me even set my timer. I don't want to take more than 3 minutes. 3 minutes, 30 seconds, I'm done. Where's this timer? So meanwhile, I was saying, yep, timer started. Yes, I was saying, mi nataka tukasirike. It's not about wewe ni Mkale, wewe ni Mkikuyu, wewe ni Mkosterian, wewe ni Msomali. It's not about that. We are Kenyans and Kenya is for us. There's no, I'm a Kale, for, if you must know, I'm a Kale. But hakuna kitu Ruto amenifanyia. He's done nothing. If anything, he has stolen from me. Nimepanda, nikauziwa wrong fertilizer. Tukaambiwa muende mrudishe, bring your receipts, you'll be refunded. Nothing happened. After tumengangana, tumelima, tumeweka fertilizer yetu that we bought with our own money. Tukipeleka mahindi cereals, tumevuna, you can't, mahindi yako ichukuliwi. So I want people to be upset. It's not nanimesikia. I've been here a while and I've heard people talking about, oh, Somali. Oh, I get what that MP said was wrong. I get it, but we are not directing our anger to Somalis. We are not doing that. That would be taking us back. Now, the point of this Ruto must go is Kenya must move forward. There's unity in numbers. Let's agree that these people are in our country and they are Kenyans now. So maneno ya kwanza kuwa can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Niliona ni kama hii mic yangu haisongi. Sorry. So all I'm saying is in fact this is a time for these Somalis to come and prove how much of Kenyans they are. Tokeni, fungeni Isili, kujeni, let's all march. Indians, fungeni huko Parklands, wapi, kujeni, let's all march. Because if business works for us, we have the financial power to come and build your businesses. So me, my plea kabisa, and my parting shot is tuungane wote. Hakuna tribalism. Let maandamano happen in every county. Kila mahali, hakuna kubaguana. You're a Kenyan, sitaki hata kujua kama uko na ID ama hauna. The fact that uko maandamano na mimi, you're Kenyan enough. That is enough naturalization for you. So anyway, let's all stay safe. Ninge recommend, we said we are leaderless. I've got a minute and 7 seconds. We are leaderless. That doesn't mean we can't be accountable for each other. Tukienda kwa street, me, I'll be on the streets on Tuesday. Physically, I'll be there. If we're on the street, please try to know at least 10 people around you. Hata kama utamjua jina, hauna namba yake ya simu, just know that huyu ni part of us, tunaandamana. The 500 people will be able to stop that wenyewe and even report them to the police or even do a citizen's arrest. Anyway, I've got 25 seconds, and before I leave, akisida followers, si follow kidogo. Well, anyway, me, I'm a strong Ruto must go fan, so you won't go wrong with me. Please follow me and let's enjoy hakuna kuenjoy, tuna jam. Hasira. Tumejam. Thank you kwa kunipandisha. Thank you the sixth. Thank you Pineapple. Thank you Afrocentric. I'm done.
Thank you so much. Asante sana, tunashukuru. Let's go to Kema. Hey. Kemanga Samuel, your 3 minutes begin now. Talk to us.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think my voice is your voice. We talk as one people. We were in a space some minutes ago or some 1 hour ago, hosted by the KOT, and the conclusion was that we ain't relent. We are brave enough people. We are very brave, and we did not go to school to fail such simple tasks. My opinion to Ruto is that on the cabinet he brought back is that we cannot agree with them. We cannot agree with it. Why should he care for Kindiki and Duale and other characters who he suggested back? I'm sorry, he suggested back to the cabinet. We are not agreeing with that. If he really care for the Kenyan, why don't he care for the poor Kenyans who cannot even offer? They are not able to put a single meal. They cannot afford a single meal a day, while they can eat as much as 5 times anywhere, everywhere. There is a Kenyan somewhere I know who lacks a proper house simply because they took their children, they sacrifices to take their children to school so that those children can come back and secure a proper job and look after that family. But they are not. Why should he give job to people who actually they are not necessarily in need of that job? They are being given a job. They are being brought back to work. Me, what I would like to say that is that we agree, all of us, and we should agree that we don't want the same people who are kicked out from the cabinet to be brought back. Guys, are we agreeing with that? First of all, you see, we should have a way of solving things here. Are we agreeing with that? First of all, and then, you know, Ruto thinks that we are foolish. I know one thing, that we might not be clever enough, but we are not fools, because he can twist us and come up with a strategy of signing a check rather than giving cash in a church, tasking Gachagua to inquire the problem or the money they need and then submit to him to sign a check. What is that? Is there a difference between giving cash and signing a check? Is that not a harambee in church? Bana, tukatai hiyo maneno bana, tukatai hiyo. Mimi hiyo dakika yangu imebaki, naweza pea mtu mwingine, lakini lazima tukatai hiyo kabisa. Asante.
Asante sana, hata zilikuwa tu 10 seconds. Let me go to Kadeno. Kadeno, your 3 minutes begin now. Take the mic.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you, Afrocentric. Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Just go on.
So me, I'm very pissed. First of all, I came when I joined the space, I met someone who was called Abdul, saying that their counties have no development, they have no Jewish schools. And I want to ask those people, do you know how much money has been given into your counties? In terms of counties, the funds that is given by national government to counties, the money that have been given by the CDF, the money you were given because those areas are extreme. You have been given a lot of money such that you would have turned Northeastern into Dubai if your leaders wanted. But what have your leaders been doing? They have been investing that money back to Eastleigh. I know they doesn't want to be told this because that is the truth. Hiyo pesa wamekuwa wakiitumia kuinvest other places. Can they go? You can't expect other people to build your counties. That's the truth. You must build your counties, you yourself. You know the thugs who kill other people there. You know everyone who doesn't support government there. You need to come together and say, this is our county. We must guard it. We must ask for accountability. They must develop their counties. They shouldn't expect people from Central to go develop their county. In fact, they shouldn't expect anyone. They should guard their money and force their leaders to conduct development. With 10 of billions that have been allocated there, the county should be having like 17 universities, big hospitals, big schools. But what is happening? Droughts every now and then. When the rain comes, they are here showing us and being happy that the rain have come. They have food for their sijui what, but not to advise their leaders to build dams, to build water harvest systems, to build infrastructures. They only cry, yet they are being given a lot of money in those counties. Personally, I've been pushing. Personally, I come from Moranga, and I've been pushing to call our governor and so that he can come and talk to us. We exchange ideas, but it's very difficult. We are trying to hold those people in power accountable, but they are trying to show us they doesn't want to do that. Me, I'm very pissed. Look at our government.
Start landing.
Ruto. Sorry?
Start landing. Your time is almost up.
So I will finish by saying this. People should go to the street and we should demonstrate. Those who want to occupy the JKIA, those who want to occupy the port should do that. Those who want to occupy State House, occupy everywhere you want. There is no way someone can borrow 1.2 trillion and nothing serious to show. We should go to the street from tomorrow, even from today, until when Ruto and his crony thugs, because they are thugs, are gone and out of our country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time.
Let me jump in there, guys. I've just shared on my timeline, which I want to direct everyone's attention to, because for the past 2 to 3 weeks we've been saying occupy everywhere, and right now I think we've been discussing, we've been taking a lot of notes, and we have been working with some graphic designer who has helped come up with meeting points. So we were trying now to concentrate our forces, because if you say occupy everywhere, hata kutoka kwa nyumba na usimame hapo kwa barabara, you are occupying in the literal sense. But anyway, right now we want to switch strategies, we want to switch tactics. Ukiona hapo kwa tumepatiana, if your where you reside is closer to Thika Road, tunasema hapo tukutane hapo Juja bypass stage kwanza towards Kamakis hapo Githurai, tuchoka hapo Githurai, the turn at Kiambu Road, hapo turnaround ya TRM Mall can be another meeting point. Alafu pia around MT Mall towards Garden City Mall hapo Kasarani, that's a choking point. So guys, let us retweet this so other people can see it, because people don't know where to meet. One of the most things have been the confusion of our spaces is wase tunakutana sangapi na wapi, because ukiona kuna team inakujanga hata hiyo siku ya Occupy Parliament, kuna wase wa Thika Road walichelewa, wase wako town tayari iko 12 na wengine bado hawajaingia. So if we can synchronize, it's one of the demerits of being leaderless, but we're not directionless, is knowing what time are we meeting and where are we meeting, because we can have the same meeting point but different times, or we can have different times but not the same meeting point. So this is just an attempt to try to have that harmony in terms of where we are meeting. If you're on Gong Road, if you're on Mombasa Road, if you're in Thika Road, if you're on Southern Bypass, if you're on Mombasa Road, even the idea of Occupy JKIA, just shutting down Thika Road, nothing comes in, nothing leaves. No one can go, no one can fly out of the country, and no one can come into the country. Like, you'll be stuck there. So guys, great idea. We're implementing, we're taking notes of everything we said on this space, and this is how the movement keeps growing, and we are not relenting until Ruto must go. Back to you, Ayu.
Thank you so much, Afro, for the update. And please, just go on those tweets on the Jumbotron and make sure that you retweet all of them. And probably, if you have to quote tweet, ensure that you use the Ruto must go hashtag Ruto must go tag. So guys, acheni kuni DM niwapatie mic. Requesting to mic. I can see them. There are 61 mic requests. I'll accept all of them. So just chill.
What
Don't
do you
feel
mean 90? I'm seeing 97 plus here on my side.
I can see 60 on my end. So you guys, you can see. So just chill, eh? Time yako ikifika itafika tu, utapikiwa na utaongea. Ukini DM, it doesn't make it any easier. And karibu sana Daktari Ekuru Okot for joining us. And probably I want to give the mic to Bluesman. Bluesman, your 3 clean minutes begin now. Take the mic, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, my points are clear. Number one, sisi kama watu wenye, everyone who is in this space, we should take an initiative of educating, because unapata there are so many Kenyans wenye hatuko on the same page because of misunderstandings. Maybe msee hajui kwa nini hii regime inafaa kwenda, maybe anasema alisikiza so tumpe time, mwingine anasema sijui siasa. Like, take your time, the best understanding yenye uko nayo, make sure umeshare na wase. At least try to highlight that the country is headed in the wrong direction. Ukiweza, kama ulisikia ile story nani alisema huyu Jimmy Wanjigi about debt, venye debt tunaenda tukisonga and it's not well used, you can explain that. You can also explain story ya recycling, how are the CSS. Again, you can explain story ya all those people who have been involved in corruption have not been.
Are you there? Bluesman, we lost you.
Okay,
You're back.
You lost
You're
me. Okay, I'm sorry, guy. Okay, nili lost kama how long ago?
Like a few seconds.
Okay. So I was saying, try to explain to your fellow citizens the reasons why we are headed in the wrong direction and why protests should not end any soon. Like, hiyo itasaidia sana at least country kuwaleta pamoja. And then the story of kusalimia wasee, hiyo kitu inafaa kuwa almost kila siku. Like, hiyo inafaa kuwa culture hadi 2027, so that those corrupt leaders wasiwahi pata kiti. So kusalimia wase kwa simu, kuwasalimia
kwa ground at least, like hiyo si kitu ya siku moja, ni siku ya kila kitu, same as ku occupy churches. Again, something else ni historia leaderless. Historia leaderless, so many people wana doubt, wanasema mwezi enda place mkiwa leaderless. So kitu naweza sema, kama maybe uko kwa space fulani wanauliza ama somewhere, you can say as long as tuko leaderless ndo kusikwe na msee yote mwenye atawai call off demos ziendelee. But if you feel like you can represent Gen Z, wewe unaweza enda kwa preso maybe na memorandum ama kwa koti as a voter ama as a taxpayer, like uende we mwenyewe urepresent whatever you're saying, na sisi wenyewe tukiona wewe unafanya kazi poa, kama maybe unataka vote tunaweza kupea later, but usiende kusema tuache demos ati ndio muongee. Same way to hata they said akina sijui Raila, I think ni this guy alisema Raila is not representing Gen Z akienda kuongea, so that means yeye afai kuambia Gen Z waache maandamano. So hiyo ndo ni story ya leaderless. And then what else kitu nasema ni tukiulizwa maybe agendas ni gani, agendas I think very clear, kitu kama kujail wale wase corrupt, hiyo ni kitu iko very clear yenye sidhani itakuwa yani itakuja kutimizwa any soon, na tunaweza kuwa nayo kama constant grievance yenye tuko nayo tukienda kwa street tukimobilize hapa online. Na pia justice for wale wase walidedi, hiyo ni kitu yenye naona kaa tunasawa tuisemi sana. We should always insist on that, ati kila siku hiyo ni grievance yenye tuko sure si rahisi ati ikue annulled, juu kama juzi si wame suspend ile cabinet na ikakuwa like wametukul. But those two things, kujail wale wase corrupt na kuleta justice for those fallen soldiers, hiyo ni kitu yenye iko very iko valid kama grievances. And then kitu very important ni kitu mimi na insistingi sana ni tukienda demos ama tukienda kuoccupy, please can we insist graphic designers, can we insist on kutokea mapema. Naonanga mimi that's the secret card yenye tumekosa in all the demos zenye tumetokea ama all the occupying activities zenye tumekuwa nazo. If we could occupy CBD by saa 1:30 ama saa 2, ati upate saa 2 kuna wase 200 wameketi pale CBD, watu wenye wataona hiyo by saa 3 utapata wengine dhao wameingia, by saa 10 dhao 10 wameingia, like na already ishakuwa revolution na tushamaliza hii kazi. So graphic designers, make sure ume focus on that story ya kutokea mapema, like that's very important, cause venye tunaendelea ku waste time tukitokea late, hii kitu inakuwa tunapea wase chance ya kuinfiltrate yani kutu counter, but the day tutokea mapema, I think hiyo inaweza kuwa game changer. And then kitu ingine maybe naweza ongezea ni graphic designers, hizi poster mnatoa, can you highlight mambo ya those corrupt leaders na scandals zao, like at least hii itokee, like watajwe, cause inaendelea kuboil temper zetu. Something else yenye sijataja ni okay, somebody kama anaweza nipea more info, siko sure, ni historia public prosecutor. Sijui kama public prosecutor anafanyanga kazi yake with the anaitwa nani sasa, auditor general akitoa kama maybe akitoa list fulani kumekuwa na corruption, okay, public prosecutor anafanyanga kazi yake like ya kuprosecute wasi, like wasi wangapi wanashtakiwa. I think pia hapo tunafaa either kusalimia ama kuapply pressure ama kucomplain sana about that. Thank you so much.
Asante sana Bluesman. Thank you so much for highlighting hizo issues ume highlight, and yes, your story posters, graphics designers out there, make sure that you also include the plights of the people in those posters, na tuanze kushema wase publicly, because hatuwezi keep on kurelent na kuprotect jina zao. Hatuwaogopi, hakuna kitu watatufanyia. The least one, the best one za tufanyia ni kutu whatever inaitwaje, kututeka nyara. They can just kidnap us. So we have to start calling those names the way they are on their IDs. Kama tunawezeka phone number zao na ID number zao tuweke, tutaziweka hadi account number zao za bank, kwani ni kesho. If we die we die. So I want to take this opportunity to bring in Kowino on the mic, and then probably later on we can now bring in Daktari. Kowino.
Thank you, Ayo. Good morning, everyone. I think I came here to say probably one thing, because earlier on, I think everyone is trying to make this war to become an ethnic war. Nilisikia watu wakifanya ikuwe ni kama we are fighting against each other, mpaka tunasahau kwenda kwa goli yetu yenye inafaa kuwa ni we are fighting against bad governance. Tunataka kwanza kudrag mara Somalis, mara sijui kabila fulani, and we are not supposed to go that direction. Tunafaa kujua everyone is a Kenyan. Hakuna mtu anaitwa Somali mwenye ni Mkenya. Huyo mtu mwenye unaitwa Somali mwenye probably ako Kenya ni Mkenya. So hatufai kuenda hiyo direction, because tuanza kuanza kujidivide sisi wenyewe kwa wenyewe in-house instead of fighting bad governance. Just like I said last night that this is not anti-government protest or anything. It is anti-bad governance. Because hatupige tu serikali, tunapiga bad governance, ndio sisi hatutaki. Na from what has been going on, tukiangalia appointments za jana, inamaanisha I was looking at those appointments na kitu inaniambia hizo positions zenye zimebaki hata maybe ndio zinaenda kuwa worse than hizi zenye tumeona. Ndio mnaenda sasa kuletewa positions za Raila sasa. Na ndio hata mnaenda kukasirika zaidi. I hope ifanywe hata Monday ndio sasa Tuesday tukuwe na more rage ya kwenda huko kwa streets. Na if you want to give up, bado naweza sema hivi, if you want to give up or if you don't have a reason for going to the streets next week, please don't go, just stay at home. Na pia usikuje kwa microphone kuambia watu ati please don't give up, we go to the streets, na utakuwa umekaa nyumbani. So if you are not willing, if you feel this is not your type of war, please stay out of it. Wenye tulishasema wengine tutawapigania, wenye sisi tutakuwa wenye tuna feel this is our type of war. We are going to fight this war till the end, mpaka siku tutashinda. I know lives will be lost in the way, but it is not the time to give up, because if we give up, like I always say again, tuta spend like over 60 years kama tuna struggle, kama tuko maybe worse than we've been. Tutaendelea tu na hizi bad governance and everything else. So again, pia tukifight war in the streets, I think tunafaa pia kukuwa na avenues zenye tunaangalia constitutionally, what can be done constitutionally, like in the constitution, what amendments can be done. And I thank God Dr. Kurekot is here again, because last time I asked him to come and talk to us about Article 255, 256 and 257 of the Constitution. And why is it mbona the parliament imejitana na hii constitution that unaweza pata maybe kufanya amendments and all that inakuwa so hard of some articles probably. And if we want all the changes that we want, does it mean we will have to go for a referendum? Ama zinaweza fanywa, tunaweza ekea wabunge wetu pressure and they make the amendments huko kwa bunge, through bunge, without us going for a referendum. So going forward, I would also like to hear about that from Dr. Ekuro, if there's a way itakuwa easy for us to do easy amendments without going for a referendum, na maybe zifanyike venye tunataka. If we can also have program changes like mtu akishavai kama governor hakuna tena kwenda kurudi sijui kuvai senator, vitu kama hizo, because I think that is greedy pia. Yeah, thank you Ayo.
Thank you so much Kowino. Nilikuwa nataka daktari take through hizo manini, but ni kama amedrop, so tutamgoja rudi tena. If you can send him the mic again. But meanwhile tukimgoja, let's try and hear from Dennis Mutwiwa. I give you 3 minutes to give us your submission there as we wait for daktari akuje. Asipokam tutaendelea kwa na maspikers wengine, but meanwhile try and share the space, use the hashtag Ruto must go. You can follow the speakers, follow the host and the co-host as we keep on. Daktari is here. Dr. Ikuru, good morning. How are you?
And we have been asking.
Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Afrocentric.
Go ahead.
And good morning, everyone. So I don't know, for some reason my mic dropped, so I didn't get the question from Kowino. Can you repeat it for me? But I wanted to make just a very quick, maybe 1 minute submission before maybe I answer some specific questions on matters constitution, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure, that's okay.
Yes, please, go ahead.
So, I've been listening to a lot of spaces, and including yours here. And so I'm just reminded of one poet, one literary artist. And I wanted to share this passage with all of you guys, because what you are speaking about is actually what this man spoke about sometimes back in the early 90s. Is one of my favorite people I like to read about. It's called Bertolt Brecht. And he speaks about the political illiterates. And when I listen to these spaces, the Gen Z revolution and all that, people are wisening up, because this man, Bertolt, wrote this passage long time ago. And I don't know whether he had Kenyans in mind or he had this awakening that is coming up with the Gen Zs. And this is what he said. And just allow me to quote him verbatim. And you can Google him. It's on Google. He said that the worst illiterate is the political illiterate. People who say that we don't want to be in politics because politics is dirty. He doesn't hear, doesn't speak, nor participate in political events. He doesn't know the cost of life, the price of the bean, of the fish, of the flour, unga, of the rent, of the shoes, and of the medicine. All depends on political decisions. The people we are now questioned to be in power. The political illiterate is so stupid that he is proud and swells his chest, saying that he hates politics. The imbecile doesn't know that from his political ignorance is born the prostitute, the abandoned child, and the worst thieves of all, the bad politician. And emphasize that, the bad politician, corrupted and flunky of the national and multinational companies. So, guys, I think this, for me, speaks to the spirit of what is happening today in our country. And I just wanted to say that I'm very, very happy, very proud of what you guys are doing, the Gen Zs are doing, and I hope really you can maintain this momentum. And yes, the question of whether you are leaderless is now emerging. So what next? I heard Raila try to defend the government by saying that it's not about Ruto must go. It's protectionism. I think it's trying to protect William Ruto. But then we need to ask ourselves also the question, we need to prepare ourselves. And one of the things that I have insisted over time, especially since I formed Third Way Alliance Kenya as a political party, is that because of our non-participation in politics, that's why we end up with the kind of people that we have today. The people who can easily just gang up together. Today they are enemies, tomorrow they are friends. And honestly speaking, I want to throw this question to the floor. Why should our country, Kenya, be defined for decades in the context of just a few individuals? Why? Why should it be the name of, Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, William Ruto, Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka? Why cannot it be about Koyo, Kowino? Why cannot it not be about Ayo? Why cannot not be about Brave Girl, Otumba? Yeah, even if it's not about Ekuru Aukot, but there are many names here. So the question is, our non-participation is what is giving us the caliber of leadership that we have today. And as the old saying goes, the leadership of any country is a reflection of the society. Is that really our society? We need to resist that. We need to begin to say, no, this cannot be our society, because the decisions they are making are bad. For example, let's just delve into the newly appointed cabinet. So you fire somebody because you have lost confidence and faith in their performance, then you bring them back. I mean, some of those guys, I know them. I mean, I worked with them before. But I'm wondering, so when you fire these guys because you lack confidence in them, why should you bring them back? To be honest with you, if we were to interpret Chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya, if you have lost confidence in somebody holding public office, then that person cannot again bring repute or respect to that office they are holding. So what President William Ruto has done actually is just to say, you know what, I can do this. He has like a carte blanche on how he runs his affairs. He does it as he wishes. So I think we need to say, we, the Gen Z, a new generation, we need to get involved. So for some of us who are already on our 5th floor, honestly, I'm pleased that you guys are taking charge, are getting interested in politics, and I like the fact that we are advancing the idea of us being tribeless, which is very good. I mean, for some of us, like someone like me who is intermarried, I don't want my children to be seen as, I don't know, Kikuyu or Turkana. I mean, I want them to be seen as Kenyans. But over and above that, guys, and I'll say this just maybe before I answer some specific questions on matters constitution, we have a beautiful country, and honestly, we must jealously guard it. Over to you, Afrocentric.
Kowino?
Yes, thank you, Ayo. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Kowino.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Daktari, last time we were here, I think very late in the night, I had asked you maybe if you could come and talk to us about Article 255, 256, and 257 of the Constitution, which I believe is the amendment of the Constitution. Because I think those articles, especially 256 and 257, really protects the county assemblies and the parliament, that is the National Assembly and the Senate, that they are probably the ones who will decide if we are making these amendments or not. There being that the legislature, as we see in this country right now, is really captured by the executive. It means that if we want these amendments to take place, they are probably never going to take place with the type of parliament we have right now. And if you even want to reduce probably the governor's terms and all that, the county assemblies will also vote. And these people have their own interest and they want to serve their own interest. Is it really possible that this thing can take place in this country right now? Can we go that direction of amending the constitution and probably cutting these terms, reducing some seats and so on?
Yeah, so I don't know whether everybody can actually access a copy of the Constitution, but I have my copy here with. I don't know whether it's okay for me to just read for you guys verbatim Article 255 before I explain 256 and 257. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Take your
Okay.
time. We have a
Yeah,
constitution on our phones, so it's okay.
Exactly. So if, for example, if you look at Article 255, I mean, first of all, let me just have a disclaimer. I say that, there is really no perfect constitution anywhere in the world. And sometimes when people say, oh, you framers of the Constitution, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. Constitution making process is basically a negotiated agreement. And especially before it becomes the ground norm, the ICE law in the land, it is actually very political. People bring in proposals, what they want to be in the Constitution, and then, of course, there's a negotiation. So for us, as the committee of experts, when we sat down to write our country's Constitution today, we considered all the various views. I mean, you may recall that there was the Bomas process that went into referendum in 2005, and that referendum failed. Then when we, as the committee of experts, where I was basically in charge, came on board, we say that we are not going to throw away anything that was proposed by the CKRC, the Constitution of Kenya Review Commission of 2000 to 2004, leading up to the referendum of 2005. We also looked at the Bomas process. We looked at the, I think there was Kilifi and all that. And we went back to the people and told the people, okay, what exactly do you want, honestly, in this constitution? And if you may recall, the Bomas process had proposed about 4 levels of government: the national government, a regional government, a district government, and a locational government. So when we went back to the people as the committee of experts, we asked people, honestly, can we manage, can we finance these 4 levels of government? And today, the debate is very ripe that do we actually need the 47 counties of Kenya as they are today? If you ask me, if I was to rewrite Kenya's constitution today, I would say no. I need more of the wards. There are 1450 wards, so that they can act as a unit of delivering services to people's very doorsteps. Now, having say compromise on some of the provisions in the constitution, that's how the committee of experts came up with Article 255, where we're speaking about amendment of this constitution. So if you are proposing an amendment to this constitution, it shall be enacted in accordance with Article 256, which is parliamentary initiative, 257, what is the popular initiative, and approved in accordance with clause 2 by the referendum, if the amendment relates to any of the following matters. For example, the supremacy of this constitution cannot be amended by parliament. It can only go to the people of Kenya. The territory of Kenya, if you are going to try and tamper with the boundaries, the territory, the region now we call Kenya, it must go to the people of Kenya. The sovereignty of the people, Article 1, which talks about all sovereign power and authority vests in the people to exercise it directly or indirectly. And speaking to what is happening in Kenya today, Kenyans are actually invoking that article to say our elected representatives are actually failing us, so we want to exercise this power ourselves directly. The national values and principles of governance, which are referred in Article 10, accountability, transparency, equality, human rights, all those things. Those ones cannot be amended by parliament. It must go to the people of Kenya. The Bill of Rights, term of the president. I mean, we proposed, for example, when in Punguza Mizigo, we proposed that we must reduce the term of the president to only 7 years, one term. You serve your 7 years and you go. That's why we invoked Article 257, what's called the popular initiative. Now, in the popular initiative, you must go to the people, get at least 1 million, endorsements from Kenyans. And then you take that bill, you draft the bill like we did in Punguza Mizigo, and I will invite you guys, just have a look at it. I think it's online. Then once you draft the bill, you take to IEBC with the supporting signatures. Then with those signatures, once IEBC approves that, yes, there's an endorsement of a minimum of 1 million, it goes to the county assemblies for debate. Once the county assemblies, at least a minimum of 24 of them, the majority, pass the bill, then it goes to the people in a referendum. Now, what we did in Punguza Mizigo, we crafted it in such a way that we did not want Parliament to even have a say or amend it, because we've factored on those issues that actually anger Kenyans. For example, the size of parliament. Honestly, why do we need 416 parliamentarians? At the time we were doing the constitution, it was a negotiation, remember? And for some of us who probably have followed the process of constitution making in Kenya, if you can start from, say, the independence constitution, the Lancaster House Conference, which culminated into the independence constitution. Kenyans did not participate in that constitution-making process. There was a few representatives. They didn't go to the people. And that's why, for example, Article 10 talks about public participation. It's meaningful public participation. Then you go back to as early as 1990s, the agitation for repeal of Section 2A of the Constitution, which ushered in multi-party democracy. and then thereafter. So we said for certain fundamental issues that affect our lives, the size of parliament, salaries, the size of the commissions, elections. Let's go to the people of Kenya because it's the people of Kenya who actually feel that. That's why we came up with Article 255, which talks about what are the other areas that can only be done in a referendum, and then 256 that gives Parliament certain, and it's minimal. So Article 256 is basically limits what amendments can Parliament do on their own? But on issues fundamental to the country, that's why we came up with an elaborate Article 257, which is the popular initiative. It must be about the people of Kenya. Just like now what we are discussing, that we have a presidency that has actually failed us. We have a presidency that made promises in 2020, promised heaven, but the road we are taking is to hell. So the people of Kenya must now come and say, okay, we can collect signatures, a vote of no confidence on this presidency, a vote of no confidence in parliament. We can recall our members of parliament because they are failing us, and that's why the popular initiative in Article 257 is there. Over to you, guys.
Okay, thank you, Dr. for talking about the Article 257. But now my issue comes here. In that Article 257, after the people have collected the signatures and submitted to IBC, and IBC have verified the signatures and all that, the bill is sent to the county governments where where the county assemblies will vote for it. If they approve it, which we don't know if they can approve it probably, if they approve it, it's again sent to the speakers of the two houses of the National Assembly and the Senate. And it is voted upon by the MPs probably. When they are done and it is approved, that is when the bill is sent to the president to send his signature. And now my questions come in that with the kind of system we have right now, do we have faith that even if the popular initiative has done the necessary, is our parliament capable of approving the bill of sending the president home? Because that is why I feel they have protected themselves. Ayo, is Dr. talking?
Daktari, did you hear the question from Kowino? Daktari?
We lost him.
Probably. I think we lost him. Probably he's in a call or something. I don't know. Is he on a call? Daktari? Okay. I think yeah. Tumemlose. Kowino, hold on to that question. Hold on to that question. Afro, do you want to refresh the space? Afro?
I think he's away from the mic.
I think he's also away from the mic. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it's 9 minutes past top of the hour, 9 a.m. East African time. And the hashtag today is Ruto must go. Your neighbor is not your enemy. The enemy is the government, and we are working hard to send the government home. By all manners of fairness and logistics, whatever we'll do to have him go home, yeah, we have to do it. So we have a few speakers on the mic as we wait for Dr. to reconnect, and Kowino is also reconnecting. Just take a minute and share the space on your timeline and use the hashtag Ruto must go. And even as you type the hashtag Ruto must go, make sure that, kindly ensure that you type something so that it doesn't come out as a spam tweet. Meanwhile, I have new speakers on the mic. I can see 6,000. Good morning, 6. KOT, you haven't spoken since you came in. And I have James Muli, I guess, James Mulamba, sorry. Otumba, Masharia, Omu, Better Living Standards, and Dennis Mutwiwa. I can see Daktari is back and Kowino is also back. Daktari, Kowino had a question for you. So I think Kowino will have to repeat the question one more time so that you get to probably give us a response. So Kowino, the mic is yours. Daktari is back. I hope you can hear me, Kowino, loud and clear. So you can probably ask the question again. Daktari is here.
Yes, thank you, Ayo. Daktari was saying that I'm happy about the Article 257, where the people, we initiate the popular initiative, we amend the constitution by popular initiative, where probably we collect signatures. After the 1 million signatures are collected and it's submitted to IBC, they verify the signatures, and when it's done, they submit the bill to each county assembly for consideration. That is within 3 months after the date it was submitted by the commission. Yeah, and if all the county assemblies approve the draft bill within the 3 months, then the speakers of the county assembly, I believe, they submit it to the speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate. That is. And now it is voted upon again by the same MPs and senators that I believe we, the people, have lost faith in. Currently, we are pushing for the hashtag Ruto must go. And if we want him to go, the same people that he has in his pockets, that is the MPs and the senators, he commands probably the majority. We don't know if he does, but he does because he has captured them. He commands the majority in both houses. And if he has to go home, and through a popular initiative, it means that these MPs that he has in his pockets have to vote for that bill, for the 1 million signatures, for the bill that has been submitted to the House that people want him gone. So my question is, I don't think if there's any other way than Parliament voting for it. So my question is it possible for us to trust these people to send him home, or we just have to go the streets way, because the Parliament way could be much harder than we think?
Okay, thanks, Kowino, for that. So for example, if you look at Article 255, Sub-Article 1, Part F, the term of office of the president. That is the part where now we are saying we have lost faith in the presidency of the country and we want him to go home. So we can do the two approaches. One, we must remain on the streets. We must resist. He must, because I don't believe Ruto has the integrity to be able to say, okay, people have disapproved of me, now let me resign. Ideally, a good leader should be able to say, okay, people have lost faith in me, let me go home. You know, like in other developed democracies. But we know our kind of democracy and governance in Kenya is commercialized. It attracts the deplorables. Now, in Article 255, 257, which I think for me is where the way to go, we can now invoke Article 257 to amend Article 1, where we are saying all sovereign power vests in the people to exercise directly or indirectly. So we can create an amendment to that article in such a way that we the people, when we collect requisite signatures and is approved by the majority of counties, then the entire government goes. Because today I don't see Gachagua as an alternative to Ruto. I think the only person now, so Ruto is not an alternative, an option, neither is Gachagua. So the only way to go about this is to go the popular initiative. We collect as much signatures as we can. We amend Article 1 so that we can have the people have the power to be able to fire a government. Because at the end of the day, guys, we are actually the employers of a government. We are the employers of the president by dint of our vote. So we need to tighten the provisions in the Constitution. That's why Article 255, 256, and 257 are very relevant. And like I said earlier, there is no perfect constitution in the world, and because is a product of negotiation. But we give people the opportunity to say, at what point are we dissatisfied with certain provisions of the Constitution? And therefore, can we amend them? Can we revise them? Can we even delete them? Some of them. So I think the way to go is the popular initiative, that you collect enough signatures, but you must now zero in what aspects or provisions of the Constitution you want to amend. And for me now, what's emerging is Article 1 is one needs to be amended, and of course the chapter on the executive, where actually we have to make sure that we reduce the presidency, the oversight on the presidency, because Parliament has actually failed us. So the way to go about it, Kowino, is it depends on how you want to craft your amendment. If you craft your proposed constitutional amendment in such a way that it gives Parliament some leeway, then we are losing the plot. I want to invite all of you guys to look at the Punguza Mizigo Constitutional Amendment Bill of 2019. We crafted it in such a way that Parliament was just by the way. They were not going to do anything to it anyway, because the issues we wanted amended, Parliament could not actually even have a vote on it. So they were just a passage, even though the Article 57 requires that from the county assemblies you send to Parliament. In fact, let me just remind you guys that when the Punguza Mizigo Bill was rejected in almost all the counties, except, of course, there are counties that did not even debate it anyway. And there are counties that voted for it. The requirement is that there has to be a report from the speakers of the county assemblies that this bill has failed. There was never such a thing, you know. So ideally, actually, the Punguza Mizigo Bill did not actually fail because they did not follow Article 257, strictly speaking. And even if it came to Parliament, Parliament could not do anything about it because the issues we are intending to amend must go to the people, not Parliament, as per Article 256. So I'll still invite us, please, let's read keenly 255, 256, and 257. We can also come up with a popular initiative to amend those articles to tighten the controls on how the Constitution is being implemented. I don't know whether I've answered your question, Kowino.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Ayo.
Doctor, I had a question. In terms of the elephant in the room, in terms of, because in subsequent presidential candidates who have had Moi, Kibaki, Uhuru, one question we have been seeing that, you know, Kibaki borrowed X amount of Kenya shillings. Who approves public debt in Kenya? Who manages it? What restrains a presidential candidate or a sitting president in terms of borrowing X amount of shillings from, let's say, the IMF?
Yeah, so I think honestly that goes to the bigger question of representation. For example, if we are borrowing, there ought to be a motion or a debate on the floor of the House, where now the representatives of the people can actually say, you know, can question the borrowing. Treasury cannot willy-nilly just go and sign agreements there and say that, you know, we have borrowed X amount of money on behalf of Kenyans. There ought to be presentation in Parliament on the people's representatives. The president himself must seek actually approval of Parliament, of the people's representative. That has not happened. So we have a presidency that just goes and borrows, you know, and without even tabling the reason. Because the question then also becomes, honestly, so yes, we have borrowed, for example, the trillions that William Ruto has borrowed in the last 2 years. What is there to show for it? We can compare it, say, with Uhuru's presidency, where, yes, he also borrowed, even though it's a painful thing. I mean, we can talk of an expressway, 27 kilometers, which is still costing Kenyans a lot of money. We can see an SGR, you know, some infrastructural projects emerging. But what is there to show for it? So there has to be parliamentary approval. And that's where the crux of the matter is. Do we have a parliament that is actually representative of the people? Today, as we speak, the Parliament of Kenya is actually an extension of the executive. It's a department of the executive. It's an appendage of the executive. And that's why William Ruto's first move, as soon as he was declared president and sworn in, he went and compromised members of the opposition, especially from Azimio. They crossed the floor so that he can have majority to be able to compromise some of his administrative and policy and legislative decisions. So it is Parliament that's actually failing us. I want to throw the question back to you guys. You must offer yourself for leadership. Otherwise, you will be what Bertolt Brecht describes as the political illiterates. We cannot be lamenting, complaining, sitting by the fence when we are being actually governed by the worst. Again, as I've said it in many platforms here, I want to remind you of the wisdom of Plato, who said that your refusal to participate in politics is that you'll be governed by your inferiors. We are being governed by our inferiors today. As intelligent as we are, canvassing these issues on these spaces, we must, seek leadership in this country. Over to you, Afrocentric.
Daktari, I have a question, yeah? Another elephant in the room. Kenya Airports Authority. We're being informed that news coming in is that they are supposed to lease it. Is it to lease or to sell it? Either or. It belongs to Kenyans. Okay, it's like Kenyan Parliament. It's for the Kenyans. You cannot go and auction the Kenya Parliament, right? So, at what masses are we in? Or rather, at what point does the government feel fit to sell something that belongs to the public without the public consent? Something like Kenya Airports Authority. Yeah. Why do we get to that point whereby they have to now lease it or sell it to a foreign investor or foreign country? Is that legal? Is it something that the parliament has to approve of? The parliament system has to approve of, maybe? Probably under your guidance, you can help me demystify.
Okay, so first of all, that speaks to the bigger question of bad leadership, bad policy. KAA is a parastatal. It's owned by the people of Kenya. So it's a public good. For you even to consider privatizing it or selling it, you must go back to the people. And the way to go to the people is to go to the people through their elected representatives for approval. The president is supposed to speak to the people about some of the public decisions that he is making. He is not doing that. So we have a rogue leadership in place that thinks that Kenya belongs to them and the rest of us are just curious onlookers or spectators. That is the sad reality in our country today. So he cannot willy-nilly just wake up one early morning and say, I'm going to sell KAA or privatize some of our parastatals. We know it's deal making. We know it's corruption. We know people, they're striking these deals so that they can make some money on their part at the expense of Kenyans. So it is something we must resist. And that's why I am happy that the Gen Zs are out there occupying places, even if it means now saying occupy KAA, Kenya Airports Authority, occupy Parliament, occupy whatever. But over and above that, this kind of presidency really must go. And more specifically, Ruto must go because he is actually selling our country. Today, you may not know that the so-called May trip to Washington, D.C. was about to procure the United States of America globalists, some of them, to dualize our road from Nairobi to Mombasa at the expense of Kenyans. So there's nothing reciprocal to us Kenyans as such. So it's business making. So, and that's why we must continue occupying the streets, occupying all the public spaces. We must resist this because a public asset is a common good, is wealth to the nation. It cannot just be decided by one individual calling themselves the president or even some director or whatever the case may be. It must come to the people for their approval.
Okay, thank you for that. So, from the look of things and from how the president has been behaving or how he's been moving, clearly it's safer to say that he's just a narcissist, right? And he literally has no feelings. And we've seen how brutality by the police has been inflicted on, the citizens during the Maandamanos, during the picketing, and we can easily also say that he lacks empathy, and him not having the ability to appeal to the masses and probably talk to the masses in a better way, and probably keeping his promises. And now he played with our minds by firing all the cabinet secretaries, and a few days later he recycles them and reappoints them. Do you think that is not abuse of power? And how can you probably guide us when it comes to ensuring that all these reappointed CSs, or rather public servants, what can we do to make them go away? Because we want them to go home. We did not ask him to fire and rehire. We asked him to clean the cabinet, send the MPs back home, and we want a fresh election. So how can we go back to get a fresh election? And right now they're saying that I saw an update that IBC claims to not have the budgets were slashed, so probably going for an election is gonna be crazy. But at the end of the day, we pay taxes, and our taxes need to work for us. Do you think there's a probability of that happening, the MPs getting recalled, probably all the cabinet secretaries getting recalled, and probably us going for a fresh election? Sorry, I elongated that question, but probably my question is towards the end, and you can also help me demystify a few issues that I said in the middle.
So, for example, okay, I think, first of all, I mean, you've raised a couple of issues in that question. One, let's study, for example, a small country like Switzerland. In Switzerland, they don't even know. I mean, I've got very good friends in Switzerland. We visit each other regularly. And sometimes I pose the question to them because I try to follow even international politics. I ask them, who is your president, by the way? Most Swiss nationals may not even tell you who their president is. They have got a 7-member cabinet, and the presidency rotates annually. So they say, I mean, we don't care about the president. We care about what the canton, like the local authority, maybe equivalent of our ward. We care about what those wards and the canton gives us. So the question for me is that we need to create a culture where we, the citizen, can actually have a say on anything that we are unhappy with. In Switzerland, they have a referendum on almost everything. So we need to create in our governance structure a situation where Kenyans are able to actually vote even electronically. When they speak about the cost of elections, again, we proposed this in the Punguza Mizigo Constitutional Amendment Bill in 2019, where we're saying, and our proposal was simple. If we can actually have a transaction on M-Pesa of about 25 billion, I think daily, if I'm not wrong, I mean, people in the statistics can correct me. We trust sending money to somebody, perhaps somebody you don't even know, strangers, when you're paying bills. What is so magical about just voting every 5 years from my phone, the comfort of my phone? So the truth for the matter is that the presidency we have today is actually a failed presidency. But it's an awakening call for all of us. And the fact that, we have allowed this country to be defined in terms of Ruto, Raila, Suji Nini, and those other people, actually that's why we are losing the plot. So I still feel that we may need to rethink about our constitution, our laws, in such a way that the people should be able to actually make a decision instantly. We don't have a parliament because of the quality of people that we send there. And because many of us actually sit back and say, we don't want to participate in politics. And that's why we go wrong. And I always like giving my own example. When I offered myself for the position of president of Kenya, or some of the biggest critics were my good friends, and they're telling me, hey, Kurubana, you to Rus, Turukanas, you're so few. I mean, do you have the money? And I think that's the whole ambit of where we are going around our country. We are not rational when it comes to making political decisions, because it is those political decisions that actually have made us be in the state we are in now. I don't know whether Ayo have addressed your question.
Yes, you've addressed my question. And probably, finally, let me just ask the final question before we get questions from the other speakers.
Although I would also love to hear what other speakers think, so that it's not just a monologue between us.
Yes, it's okay. I just want to ask one final question, then I open it to the floor. Yeah? Right now, the main bone of contention, the main meat on the table, the main meal on the table is matters IEBC. It hasn't been reconstituted yet, right? And as we speak, and I'll tie this question to the issue of the identity cards. Right now, we don't have the IBC reconstituted yet. And if we were to go for a fresh elections, what does that mean for the country? We have to get the IBC reconstituted. We have to get a budget, and it has to be approved. And how independent? Because I know, I'm very sure, because I mean, we are Kenyans and Kenya is our business. I'm very sure that Ruto will ensure that whoever is going to be the chairman, whoever is going to be admitted into the IBC commissioners, is someone that is going to speak his language. I'm very sure. We are Kenyans and we know how these things work. So how are we going to ensure the independence of that Electoral Boundaries Commission? How, as Kenyans, how are we going to verify that this is going to be independent? And what role can Kenyans also play to ensure that whoever is whoever commissioners and the chairman of the IBC is going to be appointed there is going to be very liberal, is going to be very transparent, and is going to serve the interests of the country and not of a few individuals who want to benefit themselves in the name of being a president or whatever that is. Probably that's my last question.
Okay, so Ayo, first of all, I think as citizens of this great nation, we must always remain vigilant and ensure that we express our displeasure at the manner in which we are being governed. We must speak. The leadership must know that we are not happy with certain things. But over and above that, we must now have some introspection in ourselves. Who are we actually giving these obligation or duties to govern us? So the question is that we must now begin to deconstruct occupiers of those offices, the people we have given those offices. If they fail, if they don't live up to what we want, as Chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya speaks to, that the people occupying a public office must bring respect, must not demean the people, in that language in the Constitution. So it is also
Yeah, Doctor, we have lost you. We have lost you. Can you guys hear him?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Am I on?
Yes, you're back. Talk to us.
Yes. I know there are a lot of interference on these spaces, but I don't know. Anyway, so what I was saying is that there is a double-edged sword, double effect, if I may use that phrase, that we the people also must be able to say, who are we putting in this public office? So we need to begin to deconstruct those individuals. Let me go to the question of IEBC. The Supreme Court of Kenya made a decision to say that to establish what is called the principle of necessity. So it is not true to say that IEBC is not properly constituted today as we speak. It's a constitutional body today being headed by the CEO. On the principle of necessity, which was affirmed by the Supreme Court of Kenya, nothing stops the secretariat. Because after all, think about it, guys, commissioners do not register voters. It is the secretariat that does that work. Commissioners do not count votes. Chebukati or the chairman of IEBC only just announces the results as from the work of the secretariat. So on the principle of necessity, which is already established by the highest law in the land, we actually have an IEBC. Of course, the mischief in delaying to appoint the commissioners is so that the political class can actually control that institution. And I don't know if you remember the wisdom of Joseph Stalin way back, I think in 1912, when he said that those who cast the vote decide nothing, but those who count the vote decide everything. And that's why we must be vigilant on who becomes a commissioner in IEBC or becomes secretary. Because today, nothing stops us from presenting signatures to Marjan, the CEO, to say, here we have 1 million signatures, we are recalling MPX, YZ. You know, please do the needful. And we can back it with the legal authority from the Supreme Court. Go ahead. Our country cannot be held in abeyance just because somebody somewhere is refusing to appoint commissioners. Why will it take over 2 years just to recruit commissioners? I was the chairman of the first IEBC selection panel. We did our interviews. We put an advert on all the dailies. We did our interviews in the open. It was covered, and we came up with a formula on how to elect those commissioners. So there's no rocket science really. In other countries in the world, actually, people who participate in elections are ad hoc. They almost like do the jury kind of system. You are just appointed today, you count the votes. We are making election in Kenya look like it's a matter of life and death. It shouldn't go that route. And that's why I think the people's vigilance is very, very important. On the IDs, I don't know whether you guys have now noticed. I just got our daughter an ID the other day. You can't believe now an ID in Kenya has an expiry date. It makes no sense. Article 12 of the Constitution of Kenya speaks about national documents that each Kenyan is entitled, including passport and ID. Why should those documents have an expiry date? Because the government is controlling them, because the government is making money out of it. So the last question you hinted to was on the question of appointments. Now, if you look at the constitution of the selection panel today, under the proposed IEBC Amendment Act, of the 9 selection panels, 5 are from political parties. For me, that's a big mistake, because it's like football players selecting a referee that they want. And then, of course, the 4 others are from others. So the way we are being manipulated in this country is such that the appointing authority plants people they can control. And many times, they don't pick the best. They pick the worst. I'll give you an example. Nothing personal on this guy. The former chairman of IEBC, Chebukati, was actually, I think, number second last in the interviews. But they picked him so that they can control him. And that's exactly what's happening to all our institutions. You know,
Doctor, I think we lost you. His mic is on mute.
wow. Hello. Am I back?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know why they keep on switching on my mic. Anyway, so I was saying, the way they also control our institutions in this country is that they pick the worst. I was giving an example, for example, of Chebukati, where he was actually bottom last. I think not bottom, but I think number second last or number third from the bottom. But they picked him so that they can control him. And so the only institution so far you can actually say they give us a glimpse of hope in the country is Gadangu, the Auditor General, Nyakango, Controller of Budget, because they are speaking to the bad things that are happening in our governance. I don't know whether I've sufficiently answered your question, Ayo. I want to pass the mic to other people.
Yes, you have. Probably we'll start with James Muli, if you have a question to Daktari.
I sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
To keep the space more interactive, I think kuna watu pia in the listeners that have burning questions to Daktari, and Afrocentric can choose. You can comment your questions on the comment section, then Afrocentric will choose a question that he can pose to Daktari. Is that okay with you, Daktari?
Okay, I'm fine, but I really want to also hear views from other people. I hope it's not I don't
So
want
probably-
to monopolize the conversation.
Probably I'll give the speakers, I think 2 minutes each to ask their questions. And then at least we get a few questions, then you answer them in a batch so that we get more speakers, if that's okay with you.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, I'll stay on.
All
I
right.
think let's open, Doctor. If you have time, we can open again the platform. The reason when we get speakers like you who are experts in, let's say, a field of, let's say, constitutionalism, we try to concentrate, and because we're having these spaces and we have so many questions, because information is power, and the more you inform us, the more we know how to move, and that's why having an informed protester on the streets is more powerful than no Raila, no peace protester. But now it's a different generation. So if you have time with us, we can open up the microphone and we move on with our conversation. And those who have questions to ask you, they can always throw them at you. Are you comfortable with that, Daktari?
Okay, I'm fine. Let me stay on. These conversations are very important.
Perfect. Let's move on to the next speaker.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you're streaming live. My name is James Mulamba, a youth leader from Kitui County. Well, I've been pushing the demonstrations, and I've been present in all of them from the first till last Tuesday. And as you have all noticed, the revolutionary fire has kind of dwindled. I think some Kenyans feel pacified, they feel appeased by the conciliatory efforts that President Ruto tried to pull. And by now, we already understand it was a game. The dissolution of cabinet was a game. And anyone who cannot see that, I don't know how else I can explain that to him. We've been pushing against Ruto for years. Personally, I've been pushing against Ruto for close to 10 years. I don't know how long Dr. Aukot has been pushing against Ruto and Uhuru, but personally, I've been pushing against Ruto personally for more than 10 years, both on Facebook and on Twitter. And I remember back then when we were pushing against Ruto and Uhuru, especially Ruto, Kenyans who are not awakened by then were against such dissenting voices. They were solely behind these people. And I remember at one time, I was reminded vividly that this is the culture of Kenyan politics. You either accept it or decide to quit politics. That politics in Kenya has to be about corruption, tokenism, tribalism, and that is the norm. And to some extent, nepotism. By now, you must have information on how some of these MPs and the cabinet secretaries have appointed their family members into these positions. For example, you know about Aden and his appointments. You know about his second name. I don't want to mention the second name. You know about Kimani, that MP for Kikuyu, and his appointments. And the list goes on. Hizo ndizo zenye ziko public. So we have a system that has been rotten for a very long time. And there's one thing people don't seem to understand, that when we started these protests, they are a culmination of work that has been plowed for years. This is the harvest of years of speaking against the government by those who never relented, like myself. When this protest came to the limelight, it appeared as if the main goal was rejecting the finance bill. But deep down, we had two factions. One group that was comfortable with government reforms, and another group, which I'm part of, that was not comfortable with the reforms at all. We already knew we had a bad president. We already knew how screwed we are, and we wanted him out. And that is the faction now that is prominently being featured now, that is pushing for Ruto must go. And I'm glad that those that wanted government reforms have opened their eyes and they have realized that there is no reform in this country instituted by the problem, because President Ruto is the problem that is going to solve the problems we have. Because to be honest, Ruto represents corruption. He represents tribalism. He represents patronage politics, clientelism. That is what he stands for, because he's a mentee of former President Daniel Moi, and he's also a mentee of Raila Odinga. And he has, in all his wisdom, he has decided to acquire the bad traits. He is in favor of the old style of politics, even though he knows there was a different way, a new way to do politics in Kenya. If he was virtuous enough, and if he was leader enough, he would have chosen the high road, the narrow road that pushes for better politics and reforms in how we conduct politics in Kenya. But he chose to still pursue politics in the old style. So he is in on it, and he is the problem. If anyone cannot see that by now, then we should push that message to them to see it. We should push our parents, we should push our brothers, we should push those that are older than us and the generation that is coming after us to realize that politics can be done differently. It can be corrupt free. We can have a tribeless Kenya, and that we can have a Kenya that does not value tokenism. Siasa za kupewa 50 bob, 100 bob, dishing out tenders and government jobs to those that supported you. That we can have a government almost similar to an American system. I remember when Obama formed government in 2008, he actually went against the grain and chose those that did not campaign for him and those that were of the Republican side to government. They formed his cabinet and they formed the team of experts, either as economic advisors or as political advisors, because he wanted a variety of the American people in offices so that he does not have people who pay lip service to him. He does not have people he controls that tell him exactly what he wants to hear. So that he got an almost uniform representation of America into power, so that they would correct him and advise him appropriately on what is right. Anyway, I have two questions to Dr. Ekuru Aukot. By the way, I'm a big fan, and I actually remember almost breaking into tears when Akina Raila Odinga and Uhuru trashed a noble bill, the Punguza Mizigo, just because they wanted to push a BBI bill. I mean, it was all political. I wish we had that bill sail through. There's one thing Kenyans don't seem to see and are not voicing it out there, that the problem we have now can be solved through parliament, and that we have a compromised parliament. And if these opposition MPs, Akina Babu Owino, and the rest of MPs and the senators, Akina Sifuna, Akina Kajwang, are for Kenyans, why is it that they have taken so much time to push for removal of the president on grounds of incapacitation or through a motion of impeachment? Why have they taken so long? Does it confirm to us that they are remote controlled by Raila Odinga and that it has to be his will over the Kenyans' will? I mean, I found it funny that now that Kenyans are pushing for the unseating of Ruto, the opposition leader, well, let me call him the former opposition leader, who is also the former prime minister, is uncomfortable with that. I mean, which opponent would be uncomfortable with the unseating of their political nemesis? It doesn't make sense that Raila Odinga is comfortable with Ruto holding power unless he is dining from the table of government. There must be positions, there must be tenders, there must be monies allocated to him that have appeased and conciliated him to the point that he doesn't want Ruto out of power. I mean, if we go by the current situation, all Gen Zs are not qualified by law by matters of age, in regards to age, to run for president. And if we were to have a better president in this country, probably by now Kenyans are looking into the vocal Gen Zs. So it goes without saying that Raila Odinga would have a higher stake of being elected today if he applied if he continued applying pressure on government. And if Ruto goes today, we may front Okiya Omtata, we may front Dr. Ekuru Aukot, with all respect, but we understand that Raila controls a good following. And I would not want him to be president now after I've realized that he's a traitor and a conman. But then he stands to gain if Ruto goes today. But then he does not want Ruto gone. Because of what? What is he eating from this government? He has sold us. And I'm appealing to all Kenyans to unsubscribe from the Raila shadow. That guy is a sellout. He has time without number failed us. We need to move on from him. I mean, we've moved on from excess before. We can move on from Raila Odinga. So my question is, can we influence, is it possible to influence a law that calls for, that, puts it out there that cabinet secretaries should not be politicians or politically affiliated?
James, Ukiland. Hey, my co-host, why are we letting someone talk for 10 hours? But continue, Ukiland.
So my first question is, can we have a law? Is there a way to push for a law that requires or points out that cabinet secretaries cannot be political candidates or politically affiliated? Secondly, is the parliament's majority challengeable? Because we remember that the opposition had more MPs than the Kenya Kwanza government, but the government bought the independent MPs and some of the opposition MPs. Is that constitutional? Can we challenge that? Because if we were to challenge the majority, the majority numbers that UDA and Kenya Kwanza claims to have, we can win back parliament. And it is through parliament that we can remove the president on Article 144 and Article 145. I think I would yield the floor to other speakers.
Thank you. You've taken the mic for 15 minutes, my guy.
Thank you.
3 minutes.
Let me handle it. I want the doctor to experience what a forum like this is. So, doctor, I hope you are jotting down the questions as we move quickly, as we iterate through the speakers. Kowino Nishike,
Yes,
time your 2 minutes.
I'm noting the questions.
Kowino Nishike, timeline ya 2 minutes. Guys, 2 minutes for all speakers. We have over 100 requests. So I'm going to iterate quickly through the speaker panel. So we can hear everyone air their opinions and their views. So Masharia, mic is yours. Twende kazi.
Yeah, so thank you Afro. Yeah, so nataka kukubaliana na kila kitu the former speakers amesema, but only one thing nataka kukataa. So there's nothing good about the mornings, the afternoons, the evenings, as long as you are Kenyan, because your systems are run by hypocrites and mediocre people, you know. So there's nothing good about being associated with mediocre and hypocritical systems. Yeah, so one thing I want to remind everyone is, as we are continuing with the fight, there's something about our leaders. There's no true African leader, because if you look at the leaders we have these days, they are all controlled by some Western power. I want you guys to check. There's no leader who has come out to support the three, West African countries that are now, revolting against their colonizers. The likes of Burkina Faso, Mali. Akina Captain Ibrahim Traore. No true African leaders have come out to support. So yeah, we need to, as we are going on with our movement, we have to remember there is no foreigner who is our friend. We should not allow any foreigner to call themselves a friend of Kenya as of now, because they have not been standing with us during our tough times, during fighting the US. Our president is recognizing their attempted assassination
of Trump, who has not even recognized Kenya is having tough political times. So I don't get why we always seek recognition from our oppressors. It's kind of cliche. So that should end. So yeah, the second thing I wanted to say is we wanted to solve that thing of accountability for our leaders, where our leaders let me finish on this. Our leaders, they are not accountable. So there's this thing that is being pushed. It's called Mkura. It's like a digital baraza where every citizen can make a vote on the projects they want to be undertaken in their wards, constituencies, their counties. So yeah, it's like always involving the mwananchi in every decision, because power belongs to the people and should always belong to the people, because the people are the government. Yeah, so as I finish, civic education is the most important thing, because everything you learn today is not what you learn tomorrow. Tomorrow is a new experience. So as you get new information, try to pass that on new information you're getting, which is factual information that is real, that is accredited for. Try to pass on information to those who cannot get that information as you are getting it in the simplest way. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you so much. Otumba, are you there? Guys, hashtag is Ruto must go. Please retweet the space, retweet the pinned tweet on the Jumbotron. That is the location where we'll all be meeting on Tuesday. Different roads occupy Jogo Road, Thika Road, Mombasa Road, Ngong Road. All the locations are there. The points will be choking. Higher. Otumba, are you there?
Yeah, thanks. I hope I'm audible enough. So, I've been analyzing what the decisions the president have been making, and I only come up with two conclusions. It's either the president is very sick in the head, or the president really doesn't care what the majority of Kenyans want. A casing point will be the appointment he made yesterday. He was saying that he made the appointment after doing a consultation, but if indeed he consulted the public records, you will see that the appointment of Chirchir was really unnecessary, because Chirchir is a real definition of incompetence. Tifa survey July last year highlighted Chirchir as one of the worst performing CS. Within Churchill's appointment, we have more than enough nationwide power outages. We've had the most embarrassing petroleum scandal under his watch, and still is being reappointed into now a different capacity. If you check on the education docket, the person he appointed yesterday has been a lawyer throughout his entire life, and currently is also the chair of Kengen, I believe. So if this guy is really competent enough and must really hold a CS docket, why can't he be given? Why couldn't he be given Attorney General then? Because he has been a lawyer his entire life. Or the docket of energy, because currently is the chair of Kengen. So why must he be given a docket? He has no idea what is happening in education. So and I think this shows clearly that our president is serving the interests of his fellow criminals, but not the interests of Kenyans. He's saying that you Kenyans be damned. So and also, I think Ruto dismissed the CSS, but he knew very well those who will be back regardless of your demands. Because if you remember, immediately he dismissed the cabinet. There's a group of people who started retweeting, kind of demanding and sending the same message request that Duale and Kindiki be reappointed. I believe these people were sent by the government come and do that kind of request. And then, okay, my last point, just to wind up. I've seen so many people trying to ask the agency to come up with leaders because they're saying being leaderless doesn't help. But of course, we'll need to have leaders, but I don't think it's the right time for us to have leaders. We don't need to have a leader to sit down with Ruto for him to for him to fight corruption within his government and for him to find justice for those extrajudicial killings. So I really think there's still a lot that needs to be done before we sit down with Ruto to have a conversation with him. And lastly, even as we try to figure out our next move and the best strategy to take, I think we also need to change our strategies. I believe I don't know whether it's possible, but
Boss,
I
land,
believe
land,
filling
land,
up.
land.
Wind up,
Listen,
Bwana.
time imeisha.
Yeah, I believe filling JKIA will be a very good move for us because we have several international flights coming into JKIA, and if we fill out that place so that no international flight can come in or out of JKIA, then this can be an international embarrassment to our country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Otumba. Guys, let's respect the time. 2 minutes. When the alarm goes off, please begin winding up. Don't add 2 more points, guys. We have a hot speaker list. I need to iterate through it. James Muriuki, mic is yours. Karibu.
Thanks. Am I audible?
Very. Go ahead.
Yeah. So mine is a concern and like an idea that I want to float to everyone. Well, we are making a lot of reference to revolutions that have ever happened, but what I'm not seeing us do is think how can ours be better and more efficient. I have noticed from even the first demo when we were breaching parliament that it would have taken a way shorter time if we were more coordinated. So I've been assuming Kenya is very disorganized and should be running like a proper company. And I think the organization, the movement also would achieve more that way. For example, the first time there were so many people on the street because the civic education was unidirectional. Every single platform, every single space, every single person was talking about one thing. That is what we've lost so far. So this is my challenge, is my sort of suggestion, especially to the hosts of this space. Why, if all you guys want the best for Kenya, why can't all the hosts have one sitting? This is not for the purposes of leadership, but it's for the purposes of coordination. So that all of you guys who are hosting spaces, all of you, iwe ni nani ama ni nani ama ni nani, all of you get on one space first. And then on this one space, we come up with a coordinated approach. We can even achieve so much. We are limiting ourselves. We can have a unified account even where people can mchanga, and we can invest in various ways of making sure the movement progresses. We can have medical camps going all around the country, which we will fund, which we will have employed the doctors right now who are very jobless. Like, we can do so many things because we are fighting a system. And this system is fighting back as hard as it can. So if we're not more organized and coordinated, trust you me, this will be difficult, it will take time, and we might not achieve what we want.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James. Powerful point. Yeah,
Afro.
I agree with you totally. Yes.
No, it's okay. Just go ahead. I wanted to tackle his questions, but it's okay. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with him in terms of having one space. Definitely, but Twitter Spaces, hey, they've been here, and KOT or KOX is one of the most lethal cyber jungles respected worldwide. So, in fact, one thing Ruto has done, he has united Kenyans on the internet. So
true, but
some people, some influencers, maturity, some people are not yet putting it down, understanding that this is bigger than their petty beefs. For one, me and 6,000, we were very arch enemies. But when Ruto must go, tukakua marafiki, quick, fast. So yes, I see your vision that we need a one big space and we need to reach out to each other. But that thing of reaching out to each other is very difficult. But we are working towards going there. Right now, we are just, working towards it. But powerful point. Hey, Weston, go ahead. Are you had something to say?
No, it's
Thanks.
okay.
Thank you,
You've addressed it.
Afrocentric. Thank you so much. A salute, fellow compatriots and everyone else who is listening in this forum. As usual, I pay tribute to our fallen compatriots, comrades, and soldiers. Quick, when I spoke last year, I posed questions and I asked whether we are deploying the minimalist approach or we're going the revolution way. Because I see a lot of distractions. At every other turn that the political elite makes a decision, behaves the way they have all along behaved, we get worked up. For instance, the first batch of cabinet ministers, what did we expect? What did we expect? This is power just consolidating, power fighting back. And as Michel Foucault says, power always elicits, evokes resistance because it tends to work to the detriment of those who are governed. He calls them subjects. So we will have to choose whether we want a minimalist approach where we think we can patch up this state called Kenya and move on. And that will mean we deploy the law, we invoke the constitution, we go to the courts and challenge the decisions that these people are making. Or we are convinced that this state is irredeemably rotten. It is being presided over by people who are incorrigibly ill-mannered, ill-disciplined, who have no aspirations of Kenyans at heart. And therefore, there is need urgent for total overhaul of the state as it is. We have to make a choice. So, Dr. Alcott, glad that you made some interventions. I take you back to your Punguza Mizigo initiative. How far did it go? Because you are invoking the constitution, the provisions of the law on what to do to challenge the excesses of the political elite. Well, your initiative, popular as it was, populated by aspirations of the majority of Kenyans as it was trumped by the BBI thing, led by the political elite. Flawed as it was, oppressive as potentially it was, and they fought for its enactment all the way to the Supreme Court. So when you say we can have a popular initiative, we bypass parliament, we go through county assemblies and stuff like that, I'm not so sure. The powers that be will be waiting in the corridors of power, will be waiting in the corridors of the judiciary. They will, and they will definitely knock it out. They'll fight back viciously because definitely we will play into their hands. So we can remember CORD. They had some signatures. Yes, when they presented these signatures to the IEBC, you remember IEBC raising questions about the validity of some of those signatures. I don't know, some of them look like animals and stuff like that. Well, what is a prototype signature? If I draw an animal, I'm the one who drew it, that's my signature. Is there something like a prototype signature? But the IEBC knew what it was doing. It was pandering to the political elite, to the powers that be, which why our fixation on the reconstitution of the IEBC comes to me as a little bit strange. Because IEBC is an extension of the state, frankly speaking. It's an extension of the state. And where we are more than ever, William Ruto is invested in who is going to be party to the IEBC. More than ever, he is. Because history shows that if you want to prevail in power in Kenya, just have a handle on who is elected as the chair of the IBC, who are the commission of the IBC. So I'm afraid that approach will be a cul-de-sac. It will be a cul-de-sac going forward. In fact, it will be a contested terrain, just as it has been in the past. Where is the option? Our option is the protest we are having. And those protests are within the ambit of the law. It's not like anarchy, it's not like chaos, it's not like social anomie. The protests that we have been engaging in to date within the law, that is it, because the protests in and of themselves indicate one thing, that the legal approach resort to the rule of law, evocation of the constitution, until now, those approaches are not working for the simple reason that the political elite is rogue. Is rogue. Which why it doesn't really matter who is appointed the Attorney General. That office is not really integral in the way the president conducts his business. For those who care to listen, to read, will understand that for 24 years, Moi never had a co-ethnic as Attorney General. There was no Kalenjin Attorney General for 24 years that Moi was at the helm. Why? Because he knew he could have his way without necessarily having his co-ethnic, holding that very so-called influential position. Amos Wako was there, a very accomplished jurist. But what did he do? You remember the Wako draft. You remember the Wako draft and where it took us to. So Rebecca Miano, whoever it is, you cannot appoint anybody as the Attorney General. History shows that really, that office really, whoever occupies it usually does the bidding of the executive, of the president. You remember very well also the CJ position. None of the sitting Supreme Court judges applied to succeed Maraga. Did we notice that anomaly? In which country? In which country? Would there be shortlisted candidates to succeed an outgoing Chief Justice and none of the Supreme Court sitting judges is interested in the position? Why? Why was that? I mean, that was anomalous, really. What did it mean? It meant that the political elite had rigged the process. They had rigged the process. They were interested in capturing the judiciary. So let us not forget history, which has got very painful lessons for us, where we think if you have a professor of medicine in the Ministry of Health, or you have got a professor in the Ministry of Education, suddenly the problems in the education sector in Kenya will evaporate. They will not. We have had them in the past. Suddenly the problems in the Ministry of Health they will not. Because these people are working within an establishment that is not pro-people, that is not for transformation, that is not for meeting the popular aspirations of the people of Kenya. So the papers there don't really count. They don't count. Moi used to have very accomplished people. They would just do his bidding. They were just as sycophantic as those people who didn't have papers. Why is Professor Kithure Kindiki behaving the way he's doing? And he's a professor of law. Why? Why is he behaving the way he's doing? Is there an explanation? Yes, there is. There is always method to this madness. And what is the method? Once you are co-opted into that system, then you let go of your brain. You let go of your independence of mind. You just do what you are supposed to do. So that is the system that we are ranged against. We're not ranged against personalities like William Ruto, who is appointed to the cabinet, who becomes part of the IEBC and whatever. No, we are not. We're ranged against an intractable system that has been there for decades, that is buttressed locally and as well as internationally, that is oppressive, vicious towards the people of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow compatriots, and it's a mammoth task. It's not easy. So we can go the minimalist way. We tried before, but the status quo will remain. The extant political, social, economic architecture, edifice will remain in place. When the police say, no, you can't have a protest, what law are they invoking? And then when you go to the courts, there's a judge who says, well, we have lifted a ban. Which ban did you lift? Whereas Kenyans have got this inalienable right to demonstrate, to protest, to express their grievances on the streets. When the judge says the police should not use lethal force, what a bizarre judgment. The police are not supposed to kill protesters in the first place. So the courts should be waiting for these police officers who are engaged in extrajudicial and summary executions and just prosecute them. There's no need for a judgment to the effect that the police should not use lethal force. No, they shouldn't, because there's no provision in the law that allows them to. And those who do are breaching the law and must be held to account. So I think we need clarity of thought, and I'm glad we're getting there slowly. Focus. What is the ball? What is the main target? What is the problem? I think we're getting there, but we should not allow the political elite to distract us. Raila Odinga, William Ruto, those people have behaved like that for decades. They are not going to change today. They will not change tomorrow. And if we care about the Kenya of tomorrow and generation to come, then these people really have seen better days. These people are part of history. As somebody puts it, they're yesterday's men and women. And that's why we want to build Kenya, reconstitute Kenya that has no room for those kind of behaviors. Very backward, very anti-people, very anti-life, poverty-inducing kind of behavior by the political elite. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Weston. Thank you, Weston. Doctor, you want to answer something? Go through, or you still want to listen? We go ahead with listening to speakers. Dr. Aukot. I think you can't hear me. Mogo, go ahead. Mic is yours. Mogo. Ayo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. There it is.
Oh, yeah. Mogo, you're making me doubt my reality.
Okay, thank you very much, Afrocentric, Ayo, and Pineapple for giving me this opportunity. Anyway, let me say this. Good morning, fellow Kenyans. Good morning, fellow anarchists. Good morning, fellow criminals. You have all the names, but these names are not bigger than what we are seeing in Bangladesh today. I think if you want to ask about the accountability and good governance, then somebody want to relate Kenya with the Bangladesh. I think that one is a very stupid narrative that we should get off our mind. If we say Ruto must go, does not mean that we are drunk. The other day I saw judges say that some people were drunk in Nairobi CBD and they were now causing mayhems and other things. Like, which country are we running? I want to go past that. Let me have my questions. My questions goes direct to Dr. Ekuro Okot. I've heard him talking about the UDA side having less number of MPs and then buying some from the Azimio side, taking them over, crossing over to the House. If you can expound and give us more bits of how this one could affect this parliament, and what was it supposed to be done? How was it supposed to be done? Should the UDA sit at the majority side or the Azimio? And if these other MPs, no, nowadays we call them MPs, if they cross to the other side, does it really affect their affiliation, their political affiliation? And should they be given a vote of no confidence? And can their parties recall them so that, because I think when you are elected by a given political party or an affiliation, it means that the desire, you're going to champion the desire of the party, of which parties have all their memorandums and all of their policies. And if you cross over, does it mean that you're now partyless? And if that's happened, can we recall these MPs and then we see where we can base our fight? That's number one. Number two, there's this. Just give me a minute, please. There's this second one. I have it in mind. Like, after we were done away with finance bill, that finance bill 2024. Now the government came with another thing. I don't know what appropriation bill. How does it go? How does it go according to the law? How are things going to be run in that another appropriation bill that is going to run this country for another one financial year? And lastly, If somebody is found unworthy to be an office holder like CSS and PSS, how? Where does we champion our things? Can we go by the law? Because we will go to the road. I think as much as we are going to the road, there must something at the court to stop all these people, because we can't be on the road losing our lives, and then tomorrow you see somebody's shouting at Simba is back. Are we being in the hands of those people who want to look like they want to be like semi-gods in this country? How can you be given just a nomination from the State House and then you're celebrating Simba is back? Some people holding political rallies. These are the nonsense we don't want to see. We want to see people working for the Kenyans. And what I want to ask Dr. Can you give us a leeway? Can we stop, as much as we are going to the roads on Tuesday to say no, to reject all the things that Mr. Ruto did yesterday? Can we also have a law pursuit? And pale kwa law pursuit kitulifanya pale kwa parliament, we do the same to the law, to the courts. If they don't do what we want, then we occupy, and then we overturn everything. I think that's my submission. Thank you very much for giving me this chance, Afrocentric and yo.
Thank you, guys. The tweet on the jumbotron on the nest, right above this space, guys, is the one we are retweeting. We're trying to get word out. We have listened, we have talked this week, and we said, guys, we need a consolidating plan on where to meet on Thika Road, Mombasa Road, Jogoo Road, Ngong Road, Southern Bypass. The meeting points, which we call the choke points, where depending on whether you live on South C, South B, Donholm, Buruburu, you can see what road and what rallying point you are close to. Guys, the best thing you can do, the online activism you can do right now, is share that information. The days of Occupy everywhere are gone. We are now getting more consolidated, more strategic, and more decisive, as we are dealing here with a maniac, a tyrant who is just playing games with our future. Ruto must go. That's the clarion call on this space and the four corners of Kenya. Anyway, next speaker, I'd like to give it to Better Living Standards. Your name is everything. Karibu kwenye space. Better Living Standards. What we want for our country. Mike ni yako. Unasikia?
Okay, and thank you, Afrocentric, and the rest of the fellow Kenyans who are listening to me. It's a pleasure to have been part of this conversation for a while. And actually, most of the comments were just what were also part of my faculty of mind. But one thing I need to also make as a point is that the regime is also a bit more tactical with us. And you have seen the number of, counter narrative they're trying to sponsor in the social media sites. Guys, you have seen also, even in our protests, and there are havocs within which this rotten regime of William Ruto are creating amidst us in order that it might appear to be chaotic. But again, I will also expect in such kind of a forum, we don't also forget discussing and pinpointing areas that are also very much important into making sure that our protests are sustainable. Because much as we can discuss legal issues, constitutional matters, bringing minds like Dr. Ekuru Okot and the likes, the most important thing is power belongs to us, doesn't need any legal intervention or legal understanding, so to speak. All that we need to know is that we need to keep on focused. The things we are discussing today is a century, have more than close to a century old business, guys. It's not something new. It's something our forefathers have lived with, though have been silent and passive about it. It's something we are witnessing, generation after the other. Can you imagine? It's as simple as calculating the matrix. 1997, somebody became an Eldoret MP, and today is the president of Kenya. So time is not with my side, I can see. But the best thing is, number one, how can we, in our sites like this, make sure that the voices we are putting across are voices that are of the face of Kenya. For instance, we make sure that by the time Afrocentric is, sharing the site, he includes ideas from all over the country, so that much as we have our haphazard points, we also can say, for example, they are talking about leadership, they are talking about, political parties and stuff like that. For us, we can still remain anonymous, but again, we can talk about, for example, the 47 counties representative, social media representatives who have got, ideas, so that now jointly, because this thing does not also need to narrow down to Ruto must go business, which is of course the head of it, but we also need to also make sure that it is a national wide issue, so that the pressure that mounts from counties can also be, witnessed at national level, because counties are also of issue today. I myself, I come from northern Kenya, and this is one part of the country that's extremely left out. Actually, people don't understand anything to do with, rights, governance, and
Wind
those
up.
things. Thank you very much, guys, and I really appreciate the work we are doing. Afrocentric and the co-host, kudos, jameni, asanteni sana.
Thank you so much, Better Living Standards. Eric, Mike Niako, karibu kwenye space. Guys, Ruto must go. It's the hashtag. Eric, unatusikia? Eric, going once.
Wamesema pointi yangu. Sema pointi yangu.
Sema basi Ruto must go basi kama
That Ruto must go.
yes. Very good, very good. Dr. Doi.
Eric, kukuwa na backup plan.
Backup plan iko, lakini sasa zote mbili zimesemwa na the previous two speakers. But kama kuna kitu moja yenye na shangani how as in watu wenye bado wanapewa ma politician platform. As in hiyo ndio kitu sielewi kabisa. Sijui niko nchi ingine. Sielewi kabisa. Sielewi why these people still get platforms. Wanaweza kuja na magari na watuongeleshe. Wanatuongelesha nini? Na tunasikia nini? Na hata mbona tunasikia? This thing is so messed up. Tuendelee hivyo hivyo. Ruto must go. Hiyo ni backup plan.
Thank you. And that's why Dr. has been saying, come 2027, youth, millennials, you have to include yourself with the political processes of your country. Run for MCA, run for MPs, run for senators, man. Please run for public office. Some of you are very qualified. Did you not see some could not even read being sworn in? Some class 6 dropouts. You guys have better ideas. The future of Kenya belongs to you. You are the ideas of today. I'm encouraging everyone hearing my voice. Please run for office if that's your calling. If you feel leadership is in you and that's your calling, please run. We will support you. Kuja hapa kwa space na kupiga sauti. Manze, because sometimes you can't teach an old dog new tricks. If they can't see it, they can't see it. Wanacheza tu game hapo. They're changing the forest, lakini nyani ni wale. Mic to Danny. Good morning. Welcome to the space, Danny.
Good morning, Afro. Please pass me for 3 minutes. There's something I'm doing. Then I'll come back to talk.
Understood. Babu, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thanks, host. Thanks for the privilege to speak. I want to speak about two things. One is there's a speaker, I think James Morioki. I've even DM'd him, and I think he has responded. He spoke very well about the need for us to rally. This is something that I have been calling for. I have some ideas. He spoke about let the space hosts come together, blah blah. Actually, we only need one space host. So there's some ideas Afrocentric that I have. I've DM'd you. Everybody tells me the people who speak, I DM them, and they tell me this is a great idea. This is a great. I've even documented it, a structure that can help rally people in a more organized way without looking like you're taking over leadership or anything like that. So please, Afrocentric, we can chat behind the tent. If you like the idea, well and good. If you don't, of course, we'll live to fight another day. Secondly, I can't wait for the day when the legal experts will, rally together and push. I don't know, whichever competent court on the idea that I think we have an odious debt. I think some countries have done it. The AG, Auditor General, said that 1.4 trillion Kenya shillings that have been borrowed were borrowed without the consent of the Attorney General, for example. And she also said that she cannot account for 1.2 trillion that has been spent. So even as we andamana, there are peripheral things that are just as important. And, I would be curious to hear from the legal experts if there is a case for an odious debt. What can you do about it? What support from Kenyans do you need? But important, Afrocentric. I've sent you a note. Let's chat. I'm serious about it. I've been advocating it for 2 weeks. I'm not making any headway. Everybody says this is great, but I just need somebody who has a megaphone or a space host for these ideas to be executed. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Babu. I'll engage you in the back channel once the space is done. I'll go through them. But I am for unity. By the way, I'm for unity. We can't be preaching unity on spaces. I mean, on the ground, and then on spaces on X, we are not united. That's hypocrisy of the highest order.
Yeah, it's all about unity. I'm with you.
Yeah. So I'm ready to put my mouth, my mind where my mouth is, and unite with everyone else. But there'll be a lot of crushing of egos. But Kenya is bigger than any of us. Giving the microphone to Vincent. Are you there, Vincent? Vincent, going once. Vincent. Aya. Shikuku.
Thank you, host. Now, mine is to say Ruto must go first of all, and then next I just want to give people some people who don't know a look at what revolutions have achieved in this country and what they have not achieved. Because if we go back to independence, the people who fought for independence were the great generation and the silent generation. They did their part. They fought. The boomers were too young by the time we were very young when independence came. And when independence came, the people who were on the forefront, the Mau Mau and the guys who are really against the colonialists, did not get it. It's the collaborators who took the trophy. Again, we started going, moving ahead, and then we realized, no, Kenyatta is not taking us in a good course. Some of the boomers rose up in the 70s. They were beaten down, thrown in detention, the Shikukus, the Odingas, they were thrown into detention. And then the momentum kept going. And by 1984, 85, then the movement started again. And by 1992, the fruits came. We achieved single section 2A was dispatched, was removed, and we achieved multi-party. Again, when multi-party came, the people who were fighting for multi-party were not the direct beneficiaries fully. The people who were on the sidelines watching are the ones who benefited. Kibaki is one of them. In fact, he came in once the cake had been cooked. He got what he got. He got into power. Again, this time round, when we started this movement, when we started this movement, we wanted these changes to be effected by the people who are there. So in short, what we have been fighting for, we have been fighting, telling these guys, we want to better governance, we want little corruption, we want this and this and this, but we were sitting back and giving them what we want them to do. They have proven they don't want to do what we want them to do. Now, what do? The only thing that is left for us is to get in. And how do we get in? When we start this chapter 2 of this demonstration, because right now I believe we have been re-energized. Just a minute, we have been re-energized, is to go in forcefully, make the country ungovernable until elections are called. And when elections are called, it's us who will be on the forefront fighting to get in so that we effect the change that we want. Nobody is going to do this for us. It's going to be we ourselves who will do that change that we want to see. We cannot sit outside. These guys won't do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Pass the microphone to Billy Mijungu. Billy Mijungu. Billy, can you hear me? Billy going once. Billy.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike Niako.
Yes, you can hear me. Yeah. I don't want to say much. I think we concentrated on the leaders more than we concentrate on ourselves. What I can say is this: let us all learn to send our best to leadership positions. Let us learn to send our best. And when we send our best, let us not ask them for money. Because if I can tell you, everybody at the grassroots, whoever campaigned, regardless of whether they were good or they were bad, they were being asked money. Who asked them money? The same people who are revolting today. So let us recheck ourselves and let us learn to send our best to politics and in leadership areas. That is the way we are going to start to change this country. But if we can't keep going around and recycling ourselves and doing what we do without having a retrospect on who we are as Kenyans, because what we see is a reflection of who we are. Then when it comes to leadership positions, let us look at a person's track record in leadership. If it is stained even for a single day, forget that person. And there are so many people who are clamoring for better positions in 2027. Some of them are already tainted, and people are singing them to the highest. So are we not boxing ourselves into the same environment we were in 2022, 2017, and the like? So the problem is not even the leadership that we have. The problem must be just us. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. Elijah, are you there?
Afrocentric and Ayo.
Yes, Afro, I can hear you. Although I could hear the last speaker, but now I can't hear anything.
Elijah.
I don't know whether there's someone.
Elijah.
I don't know whether Daktari is speaking. Can I just mute
Yes,
and then I let Daktari speak?
Yeah,
Doctor. I wanted to make a polite request, please. And my apologies to everyone.
All right, allow me kindly to continue because I can't hear you. Mine is going to be very quick.
Elijah. Doctor is speaking. Hold up. Doctor, go ahead. Doctor, you can hear me? I will check if he can hear you. Ayo. Kowino, I will check if he can hear you.
Daktari. Daktari, can you hear Afrocentric?
Now I can hear. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
So I wanted to make a polite request, please, and my apologies to the rest of the speakers and listeners, because I've got a meeting coming up at 11, and I really want to respond to one or two questions that was asked of me before I excuse myself from the space, if that's okay with you guys.
Yes, please go ahead.
So when I listened to James Mulamba, I hope he's still on the platform. I think he spoke about, he kind of hinted on Ruto's presidency and, of course, Raila association. I think one of the things that we must recall, political affiliations in Kenya is actually a business. It's a business of the same people. In fact, this is probably the only time you can say that there is actually honor among thieves. They collude, they change clothes. Same monkeys, they just change forest. But I want us to look at Ruto's presidency as a blessing in disguise. And why do I say that? I say that because what does it mean for Kenya? What does Ruto's president mean for Kenya? For me, it is an opportunity to transition to another generation of leaders. And I'm so happy that the Gen Zs are now actually coming up. And this, for me, is what I describe as succession planning in matters governance. Some people have to take over from a certain generation. And I think one of the things that maybe Ruto's presidency has done for this country is to end some of the fake dynastic claims or entitlement. But now we are looking at him and saying to him, you pretended that you're one of our own. We voted for you. You are now in the driving seat. Now we are exposing you. That, for me, is a political opportunity we must exploit. And that's why I'm so happy with these conversations with the Gen Zs, what they're doing. So I'll say, let's keep the fire burning. Now, there's a question that Mulamba also raised around the cabinet being of non-politicians. Actually, if you read the Committee of Experts' final report, we were absolutely clear in our proposal that cabinet members should be technocrats, not politicians. But that was violated by President Uhuru Kenyatta in his 10 years. Now it's being violated by President William Ruto. And I will not be surprised about President William Ruto because, after all, he really opposed the campaign for this new constitution. So he does not believe in the constitution. He does not believe in the rule of law. So the Committee of Experts was very clear. Pick cabinet secretaries, people with merit, people with knowledge, and it has to be outside the political space. But now we need to go a step further and say, why should politicians like, say, Kipchumba Murkomen, Kindiki Kithure, Aden Duale, and others who are elected accept cabinet positions? Because none of them believes in the rule of law, none of them believes in the constitution, and that's why we end up with the situation we are right now. So that it does not matter to me, or even if Ruto changes Kindiki Kithure from this position to that position, they are politicians. Their first loyalty card is political affiliation, not Kenya, not to serve the people of Kenya. And that's where we are going on. So that was very clear with the Committee of Experts. Non-politicians should be cabinet ministers, principal secretaries. Macharia spoke about civic education. I want us to change the lingua, the narrative. We should no longer be talking about civic education, but political education. People, we've been talking about this civic education for the longest time, but how politically educated are we about the kind of leadership that we have in the country, about the kind of people occupying our offices? That's where we should be talking about, because the question of accountability must come from our being politically educated. Then Otumba raised a question around Ruto about dialogue. The question I will pose back, do you actually want to sit down with President William Ruto without him accounting for the deaths of peaceful demonstrators, for the killings, for the abductions, for the disappearances? What are you going to sit about and talk about what? I think I like the conversation by the Gen Zs that we don't need to talk about sitting down. Just fulfill your political promises. If you are not able to fulfill them, ship out, get out, resign. Those provisions are there in the Constitution. He also hinted at the Punguza Mizigo Constitution Amendment Bill against BBI. Yes, it is true. We were fought. They even tried to kill my political party, and that's actually part of the reason why I was so angry with Raila. I could not even vote for him in 2022. But you will recall that we fought BBI up to the Supreme Court of Kenya, and we defeated it. And the reason they brought down Punguza Mizigo, because we were going to change the political spectrum of this country. We are going to reduce the size of parliament. We are going to address on the question of salaries, corruption. If you are adversely mentioned in any corruption scandal, you will not stand for public office. We were abolishing nominations. We are abolishing the women rep position. We are bringing equality where one man, one woman will be elected from all the 47 counties, and we'll have a parliament of 100 people maximum. And we justified it. Again, please have a look at the document. I am more than happy to revise it and relaunch it, and we'll do it online, and people can have a look at it. So what Ruto did, and the other question, the second last question I want now to raise is that there is need for an effective opposition. Can parties recall the MPs who actually crossed the floor? Yes, you can. There is party disciplinary mechanism within any political party. In the constitution of any political party, you can do that. And but the game is for you to be able to entrench yourself in the governance of the country, you compromise the other part. That's why, for example, today, whether you voted for Ruto or Raila, there is no difference because now they are working together, because for them, it's about their interest. And this actually reminds me of what America actually is. When you go into bed with America, they are not your friends. Ronald Reagan said, America has no friends. We only have interests. The same philosophy applies in the political organization of our country today. The current political crop does not really see Kenyans as friends, do not see Kenya as a country. Kenya is farmland, is shamba, ni kuvuna tu na kuvuna na kuiba. That's all they are seeing. A question was also raised around the finance bill vis-a-vis the appropriation bill. To be honest with you, it's very sad that William Ruto signed the Appropriation Act without a Finance Act. The Finance Act is normally a money collection, a revenue collection law. Then the expenditure of it is on the appropriation law. So, and you know, the lifespan of a Finance Act is 1 year. At the end, at the 30th of June every financial year, that law lapses. So today, we don't know how our money is being collected because there is no law. I know the courts have decided that you go back to the original law, but that law must have a life. The 23-24 Finance Act is a dead law. So we don't have a law. So when you sign an appropriation act, against which expenditure are you, against which collection of revenue are you expending our money? So that is the quagmire the presidency of William Ruto has put us. Then the last question for me is, I agree, Ruto must go. The question is, when must he go? Because 2027 for me is too far. Over to you briefly, and I will say for 5 minutes before I leave, please. You can excuse me.
Thank you. 2027 is too far. I share that sentiment, honestly. And that's
Afrocentric, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Pineapple, can you hear me?
Daktari, we can hear you. Can you hear me, Daktari? This is Ayo speaking.
Yeah. Yes, Oyo, I was just saying, let me stay for another 5 minutes, please, if there's any quick rejoinder, but I really want to beg your leave to leave.
Okay, it seems Afrocentric is talking to you, but you can't you can't hear him. So probably Afro, what do you say? The space is having issues because I also dropped as a co-host. So Afro?
Well, there's a lot of interference on these spaces because I think one of the things now we must recognize is that we no longer need physical political rallies. X spaces is giving us political rallies, so we can always canvass issues here, but they are trying to emasculate these spaces as well.
Daktari.
Yes, sir.
How are you, sir?
I'm very well, and you?
Nimuli, how are you?
Oh, Dan, how are you? Good to hear from you, Muli.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question before we went there. I know you have pressing issues, and it's I don't know if you had you participated or you had you joined the X-Space on Citizen Assembly where the LSK and the Kenya Human Rights Commission held. Did you hear about that? Were you in that space?
No, I didn't participate in that space, but I'm aware of it. I think I saw it, but when I joined this space, I couldn't join two spaces at the same time.
Yeah, there was this guy from the Kenya Human Rights Commission, and he said something that has been bothering me since that time. He said that after 2017, 2018, the people who were killed by the police and their cases were taken to IPOA. Till to date, nobody has ever been prosecuted. The cases from 2023, Maandamanos, the people who were killed by the police, nobody has been prosecuted. So the question that I have that has been bothering me is, when you have these institutions who are supposed to be holding the police accountable for all the wrongdoings, for all the killings, the abductions, the torture, the holding incommunicado, when you have all these institutions that are not holding the people who are breaking the law accountable, what do we do what does the constitution state? Also, when it comes to corruption, we see all these corruption cases happening. You know, I was in management before, and before we were paid, a staff list will be sent to my office where I appended my signatures on every staff that was within my branch. Now, we see reports of Auditor General reports stating that there are cases of ghost workers being paid 35 billion within a year. Then the question is, because this money goes to a specific account and it is withdrawn, is it that the bodies that are responsible to protect our money, to hold those who are corrupt or who are embezzling money, are brought to book, are not doing their jobs? What do we do as per the constitution? Because the whole system is rotten. Money is being stolen and nobody is being held accountable. People are being killed, people are being arrested, and nobody is being held accountable. When we are playing by the rules, why isn't the government okay? What do you do when you are following the rules, when you are playing by the constitution, yet the opponent isn't? They're breaking the rules because, you know, the government isn't playing by the same rules. They're breaking the law. They are disobeying court orders. What do we do in that state?
So Muli, I'll give you a very short response before I drop out from the space. I think for me, we are just talking about the bad governance that we have in the country. And like they say that the fish rots from the head. So we have a very bad leadership in our country, where right from the executive, they don't obey the law, there is no question of accountability, and that cascades downwards. Like I said earlier, what the executive does is to appoint people they can control who do not see accountability as part of their duty or responsibility. And that's why you end up with no solution at all to those disappearances, to those deaths. Nobody's taking up action. And normally the consequence of a rotten system like we have today is people revolting. People are coming up to say that we are dissatisfied, and I think this is exactly what the Maandamano is actually doing, because we are saying that we need an overhaul of the entire system, but we also now must elect leaders who must be able to say, we are firing so and so because they have failed in their duties. So I think that is the crux of the matter, Muli, that what kind of governance structure do we have, and who are the people in those offices? You cannot preside over a government or a country where people are being killed, disappeared like that, and then you don't account for it. And I think things go normal. That's why people pick up arms against the establishment. In fact, I again want to make reference to the African Charter on Elections and Democracy. I think it must be chapter 8 thereon, that says that, they forbid what they're calling unconstitutional removal of governments. And you can read this in the context of, say, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, and Niger, where the military has taken over, because people are hiding behind the idea that we are democratically elected, but they don't fulfill the will of the people. So for me, I've come to the conclusion that if you're a democratically elected country and you are not fulfilling the wishes of the people, We must now remove you, and that cannot be constitutional and unconstitutional. It is constitutional because you are defying the will of the people. So I think the rising of Kenyans, the rising of the Gen Zs to say that we don't support this government, Ruto must go now, is speaking to all those issues that you have raised. Why isn't there no accountability? But why are the people holding these public offices not feeling not even having the shame to say that, people have been killed? I mean, do I still need to stay even a minute or a day longer in these offices? Hell no, they shouldn't. But it's a whole system. It's like when your operating system in your computer fails, you have to buy a new computer or you have to change it. So we have an operating political system here that has failed. It cannot work anymore. It's collapsed. So we must go for change. And all you people must actually rise up and be that change. Let's not just talk, lament, offer ourselves to lead this country, because you have knowledge, you are intellectual, you have the know-how. This is the age of technology. Nobody can lie to us anymore. If it is about national debt, we can check those figures. If it's about the corrupt, we know who they are. So, guys, let's rise up. I am happy that we are rising up, and especially with a lot of anger. I think I'll leave it to that. Afrocentric, I really, really want to beg to be excused.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for joining this space. Hope you can hear me now. I had to exit and rejoin too.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much for gracing this space with your presence and sharing the knowledge share that you've shared with us. I think we're more informed. This civil education, like it's the age of information, and like you said, everything is on the internet, but also you explaining what is on the internet and what you know in terms of constitution has really enlightened us. Thank you, Sana. You're welcome back again. Anytime you see us up.
Yeah, and I know this conversation is not ending now. I'm sure this is a live conversation. It will continue. Definitely, let's continue the conversation, please.
Asante sana daktari. Haya. You are excused. You're excused. I'd like to pass the microphone to 6 uko hapo 6,000. 6, can you hear us? Not there. Daudi Kabaka.
Mimi nawasikia bwana.
Kiuti unasikia?
Yeah, nakusikia though microphone yangu nikaa iko na feedback kiasi on my side.
You say something? Haya. Daudi Kabaka.
Yes, I'm there. Can you hear me?
There's a lot of feedback. Can you get to a silent place and then lift up your hand when you're ready to speak?
Thank you for the space.
Guys, please, space etiquette. Please get it to a silent place and then address the nation. Now you're coming here with lot of noise. Elijah, shika mic.
Thank you very much, Afro. Right now I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Today, actually, I'm just going to be brief. And first thing before I forget is that if guys, we happen to find ourselves in a millions people in town, let us not leave that town. Let us actually demonstrate. And if you are very lucky enough, again, we find ourselves to parliament again, please, let's come there. Let's not leave. Because that's where we messed. These guys were almost actually going home. And so we need to have a plan. We need to have a new plan, because this plan of going to town, running here and there, and by 5 or 4 we rush home is not going to work. And the reason why Ruto has done what he has done is that he has realized that the policemen that he has deployed in town, they are kind of winning the war against us. But then I think he missed the point. I think you can still come back in full force and force the issues that you want. We want him actually to listen to our issues. He is aware of our issues, but clearly he doesn't care about us. He cares about 2027 now. It's very clear. So guys, we need to change our game. And please, if we say on Tuesday, kindly let us all go to town. On Tuesday I was there. Though it was chaotic, but we were not that many, but it was chaotic. And if the way we are seeing it here online, that guys, let's go to town on Tuesday, please, tukuje zote, and I'm very sure that you're going to do something. These policemen, they can't do anything to us. If we are millions of people, they cannot control us, and we are going to send a message very clearly. It's very clear to us that all along, the people that we thought that they were fighting for us, kumbe they were fighting for their own interest. So I think it's a wake-up call for all of us, and now we see things differently. Let's keep on pushing, and I'm very sure that we are going to win this war. The last point is that, if I give someone else the microphone, is that, guys, we also need to keep on pushing on this CDF issue. So long as CDF is there, any president who will ascend into power will have the monopoly of controlling all the MPs, because if they don't support the president, they will be investigated by EACC. And we know very well that our MPs, they have been using the CDF money for their own, benefits, not the benefits of the constituencies. So I think those are the issues that we keep on pushing. And once we win this CDF thing, believe you me, things are going to, to go back into place, because the MPs, they will have nothing to defend. They will have no reason to, to align themselves with any regime that comes to power. And I believe, guys, let us focus and let us focus. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Elijah, did you read my tweet, which I've been asking people to retweet on the Jumbotron? Umeisoma? Oh, bado.
Which one, please?
The one on the Nest, the Jumbotron up here.
Like, yes. I've seen it.
That is the strategy that we're talking about. We are not going to CBD. We are talking all roads leading to the CBD. So usiende CBD utakuwa peke yako. At least that's not the plan, guys. We hold these spaces. Everyone says change strategy, and then we ask what's any strategy. People give ideas. Let's occupy all highways, all bypasses. Okay, then we come up with a strategy. So we are saying, please. By the way, we are over 1,500 here, guys. Please, and then we have only how many retweets on this thing? We have like 50 retweets, guys. Online activism, please be active. Don't just listen and then utie manani. Please let every comrade know this is what we're doing. When you retweet it, you're putting it out there on the cyberspace. So retweet it. Let everyone know. If you live around Jogo Road, the road we are choking is Hapo City Stadium, around the industrial area. And then the second point is towards Donholm. Hapo your outer ring, Hapo we are choking that point. We are also occupying Kariobangi roundabout. If you live around there, please march there. Let's meet there. If you're in Limuru Road, we are choking Ruaka Stage, and we're choking also Oilibia Parklands Avenue. And let's march towards Karura. And this is towards the embassy. This is around the embassy area. The main, if this is to choke embassies. Unajua hizo ma number plate ni za red ama ni za green. This is Limuru Road. This is very serious. This one is the sensitive one. Okay, if you live around there, Parklands Avenue, we are choking Limuru Road. Hurlingham roundabout, choke. No one moves, no one in, no one out. Ruai, Utawala, choke it. No one in, no one out. Wayaki Way, occupy. Sit down on the road, hold your pickets, peacefully demonstrate. Hapo Runda, Kwanza Ring Road, Parklands. James Gishuru Road. Hapo around ABC, Red Hill, roundabout around ABC. And then we are choking Kabete around Polytechnic and Uthiru Market. We are choking there. Mombasa Road to Ole Sereni, hapo Airtel headquarters. If you live around there, hizo ma apartments hapo on Mombasa Road, around Ole Sereni, let us just come over there. Na kuja na firimbi yako, maji yako na camera. And then we are blocking Eastern Bypass around City Cabanas. Blocked, choked. And then directly around JKIA, SGR Terminus, hapo exit 3. Choke, nothing is happening there. Mulolongo at Expressway exit. Choke. Guys, I hope you're retweeting these things. Like, we have people who have dedicated their time to put this out. They have put their sweat so people can understand this is where we're going to meet. So guys, retweet, be active, be an active member in this movement. Don't just be, but the fact that you're in this space shows you're really active. and shows that you want to do something. Otherwise, some people are very indifferent. Very indifferent. Nilienda huko TikTok nikaona watu wana dance, nikashangaa si hawajui what's going on. Nikaanza kucomment, Ruto must go, Ruto must go. Nilichujwa bio bio. Anyway, we're blocking Kiserian and Upper Kajiado. Be very active, and then occupy Jogoo Road. I've already said that one. So yes, so retweet that. This information is already on my timeline. Please retweet it. Let's get this information out there. Screenshot the flyer if you depending on your space and share it. And guys, come Tuesday tunamwagika kama siafu kwenye mabarabara. No movement. We are paralyzing the logistics of this country. We are just no movement of cars, lorries, trucks, nothing in of Nairobi, nothing living out, choking the tributaries. You know, Nairobi is like a huge lake, and it's serviced by all these roads coming in. Nothing is coming in. We are just sitting in the roads and we're letting the world know, we're letting this regime know we are tired, and we're passing a message, which is a constitutional right, to stand on those roads and picket and say, hey, Ruto must go. Ruto must go. Sir Vincent, karibu kwenye space.
Thank you so much, Afro. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Guys, you can remember in the morning I left for something like, I don't know, Afro, whether you were asleep, but Ayo was...
I had your friend who had been abducted. What's the news on that?
That is what we are into right now, and actually, if there is somebody who can... that echo. I don't know whose mic is on, and kindly mute your mics so that at least you don't have that backfall of the voice. Now, if there is somebody who thinks is capable of giving some help, because right now we are aware of ways, and actually hawa watu wamenimalizia wamenizungusha bana. Nilikuwa na wafuata from the track and so on. I don't know what they did to that phone once they reached Kiambu headquarters. DCI headquarters. So it's like, I don't know how they realized the tracking, but I just lost him. But I lost him once he was in Kiambu. So I have been around here, like the guy also found a certain strange phone. I don't know where he got the phone and wrote me a message, considering he's pregnant. By the way, the wife is like, can have...
So tujistrategize na huyu jamaa kumpush tukisonga mbele, na anaweza suggest Buddha tuwe na place penye tunaenda, tuende State House, na wenye wanatoka kutoka along JKIA huko wafunge airport paralyzed kabisa, na hii maandamano ifai kuwe like 2 days ama 1 day. Tukipiga hii kitu kutoka Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, biashara inatafanya peke yake ni on Monday na Friday. Hakuna biashara inafaa tuallow sasa zifanyike. Let us paralyze this guy completely. Na hiyo pressure dinafai kuwe hapo. Okay, ni hiyo tu. Thanks Otero.
Vile umesema kuparalyze mabiz zote, mi ndio nachoambie vile maandamano wewe na wakufiti. Mkaidha na days za kwanza tulikuwa na paralyze all the shit in town, alafu na polisi hata wajui kwa support. Na hizo matia gas inafanyanga wasee wanafunga mabiz zao. Si je ambia wasee afunge biz zao utao. So tunataka tuchukue the sensitive parts. Ya hiyo part ya maandamano, the sensitive parts unacheki. Unaenda kwa these very crucial places in the country, mnabaki hapo. Kila kitu kwa paralyze. Najua haizi fire kitu atapigiwa simu. Najua kuna wase wako na direct contact na president. Anaambia ni aje? Your people campaign against you. What's up? Nachiki. Sasa inabidi aanze kufikiria vile anaweza jitetea. Sasa mimi na believe story ya CBD wamejaribu ku play, wanajaribu gaslight tuonekane wase wabaya ni sawa. biashara zetu zinaharibika. Sasa wacha tu occupy sasa ma highway wasasa kuja tao. Kama uko na mati yako hapo unashuka wote mnabaki na sisi hapo. Waswara dhani kwa hii space naongea story ya ku advocate for violence, si violence. Tunabaki barabara hapo. Kani Roysambu roundabout tunabaki wote hapo. Mna chill, Githurai mnabaki hapo. Hakuna kwenda tao, unarudi home. Ukijapata business person, hakuna mahali unaenda. Unabaki hivyo. Hatujaribu biashara yako. Tumekulimit kwenda tao, unataka waandamane na sisi. Because this business community ni enablers pia wa bad governance. Hasa wanaweza chotewa kitu alafu wafukuze wase tao, wapige wase, waue wase. We don't do that.
Occupy
So
kwanza
kwa
JKIA. Kwanza mwanza na JKIA muone ama hata sikiza.
JKI waide kwanza non expressway tu wase huko juu alafu tukiwa kule gate ya JKI tukitu hapo we need like kama tukipata like wase kama dao 5 wako nje ya JKI hapo entrance hapa hii game iko over tuko tu sawa kabisa kwa vile hizo my intentional flies watasema hey your government is killing people they're here outside the airport na cheki ata feel sawa CBD itabidi wajidishi sasa wachape babi zao but tunafanya tu biashara yetu sisi kwa streets. Sawa. Sasa mwingine achukua mic.
Naweza bonga?
Yes.
Sawa Otero. Thanks manzi for your chance. Now I want to be very brief. Mimi na first of all na agree na wewe about kitu ulisema to chomea our same busy and everything. Reason is ini mass action sahi na lazima tuongeze volume, otherwise CBD for me imekuwa kama ungekuwa hapo hivyo on Tuesday manze, Tuesday ilikuwa something else. Tiaga zao wase walikuwa wamekuja na it's like walipata new supply consignment ingine walaitisha, alafu wakapatiwa targets wakaambiwa manze hizi lazima ziishe leo. Ilikuwa something else, walikuwa wanarusha kurusha. So for me, in as much as tunasonga hiyo, I would also advocate for another series or another way of mass action, which is tuchome kila kitu, tuchome hao wase, burn their houses, burn their businesses, burn everything that concern, that has a name that has their name in them. Why am I saying this? Because Ruto basically alituwekanga kidole kwa matako, akatumia parliament kutuweka kidole hiyo ingine kwa mapua, and then anatumia karao kutuuliza mtadu. So tuonyeshe kitu tunaweza do. So for me ni ban everything that has a property zao choma, churches zimekuwa zikiwa host, wamekuwa kitumia hizo platform for kufanya vitu zao. Hizo churches zichomwe, si occupy everywhere right now should now go a step higher. Inafaa kuwa ni about ban, because those things, all those institutions zimetuonyesha they are as useless as they are, because hawezi ambia preso anything. So tusonge tukisonga, that's all.
Yes, tunasema tusonge tukisonga. Si lazima tu unajua kuna kitu moja sijui kama mlinotice hizo story ya siren au those influential politicians ama government officials wamekuwa hata wakiwa kwa jam wanakaa tu hivyo. Kumbuka back in the days walikuwa wanaenda the opposite side of the traffic jam. Sasa hizi hawa jamaa humble down kwa wanajua the moment wako na hizo mawakitoki yako hapo itoka ni blanda na wanaweza chomwa. So mimi nataka tukue hivyo, tuseme the same energy. Mimi yeye kitu na beg mazi na wa beg mazi. Nyinyi mnaona kama mse mbaya, haina shida. Inaeleweka mko na anga. Tafadhali mazi, wasi come out of this shit alive. Kwa tutaumia mazi, na you know wa beg, tutaumia. Engineer Landi alafu Miss Bloom taongea.
Shukran sana. Mi kwanza na second what Morian Zenza amesema. Let's go for action. So on that light note, kesho ni Sunday. Mi sijaenda kanisa sijui since I was 14 years old. Lakini kesho lazima nifike na niitishe mic hapo kwa pulpit. Cause wasi wako church ndio wanatuangusha. Mapasta wenyewe, like pastor anaendeshaje gari ya 6 million na mfuasi wake anapanda nduthi kufika kanisa. So hapo ndo tunafaa tuanzie na hiyo action. Monday tukue tao, hakuna story ya kungojea hapa Tuesday. Tuesday tunafaa tuende sasa JKIA kama mbogi. Tukienda JKIA, one thing, kuna so many international eyes on us. So kila msee imagine wasi wametoka Spain, Brazil, sijui Singapore, sijui wapi, kuna hao maambassador wote, they will all be afraid. Tukifunga njia yao ya kuhepa, kama sijui muli notice, this past 1 month, JKA has had a lot of extra travels from the people who are in Kenya wenye ni migrants. Hawa si wamehepa kuhepa cause wanaona huku hivi ni kubaya. So Tuesday tufike JKIA. Wednesday Gigiri pale kwa UN tunafaa tu launch huko hivyo na ubaya tena sana, kwa sababu UN inanyamazaje na wanaona what is happening, wanaona wasi wetu wakiuliwa. Thursday back to the streets. Friday back to the streets. Like hatufai kufanya ati kwange ati Tuesday Thursday tunafaa tuiweke hata standstill, kwa sababu hatuwezi elect msee alafu watuonyeshe middle finger once ako in power. Why was he so humble asking for us to vote for him, and then when he's in power anatuonyesha hapo middle finger like anyidi nyweni, si mlinichagua mi ndo kusema like what the fuck. Kama jana nimeona kuna Wasomalis, and I'm not being tribalistic, but kuna Somalis wenye wamerusha bash ya kusema ati Simba is back, meaning Duale. Like hiyo ni ujinga gani my guys tunaonyeshwa hata sisi roho safi? Like inafaa ifike mahali tuseme enough is enough. It's either we die or we die. Hakuna kitu ingine tuna fight for. Either way, mbona uendelee kuishi maisha ya kustruggle na wasoko huko juu wameiba madoo zetu zote, wanajibambanga huko wakienda trips and everything. Watu wa msesi wanashindanga huko kama wamefungua makampuni ngapi, sijui Tisap, sijui Raha Fest, sijui nini. Se doo zetu ndo wanatumia kujibamba huko kumake even more millions. Like this is some fucked up shit. Otero unaweza niongeza hapo kama co-host tusaidiane. Thanks.
Otero, nilikuwa nakwambia kitu kingine. Acha watu avoid tao. Waachie tao. Si wanataka kushinda huko tao. Waachie tao. Lakini make it impossible kwenda hiyo tao. Hakuna basi kaendi tao na akili hakuna kwenda tao.
Ni ukweli, tufanye hivyo, tusiharibu wa biashara zao basi. Sisi wanasema sisi ma criminals. Sasa iko hivi, kuna vile wasa wanaingia tao. Jogoro tunaishikilia hapo City Stadium, tunaketi hapo. Mombasa Road tunaishikilia hapo General Motors. Thika Road hapo kwanza All Sops, kwanza nje ya GSU hapo. Na cheki. Expressway pia tunaishikilia. Tunaketi tu. Kwa sisi wasa business wanataka play victim na sijui business community wanajifanya hao ndio kana business pia hita hao. Hawajali about their clients kitu wanapitia. Sawa, tuifanye hivyo. Alafu
Pia
hii
wasi
story ya
wenye
Duale, imagine
wako
Duale
kwa
cheki.
borders. Wasi wako huko
Cheki
borders
story ya Duale.
wenye TZ. Pia hao wafunge huko.
Wafunge huko wasiingie huko, wasiingie country yetu, wacha tuunde country yetu. Niliwaambia
Funga barabara zote. Funga hata Naivasha. Funga huko Naivasha, huko matrela zikae huko. Hakuna busy inaendelea. Funga Mombasa Road. Funga huko kwa port. Fungeni kila mahali.
Hadi national parks. Ukiona mzee
Kila kitu ifungwe. Nakwambia hakuna kudemolish ama kuingia CBD. Hakuna kitu tunaharibu kufunga barabara. Kufunga tu barabara uone ama atasikiza. Funga JKA, funga hizo institutions zote, funga Thika Road, funga barabara yote mnajua. Uone ama atasikiza. Watu wewe kama uko na busy yako tao, wewe fanya tao, lakini ukae huko tao.
Si hatukuji tao. Kuna busy yako hivyo. Si hatukuji tao kwa busy yako, but hatukuji huko but tunafunga tukiwa outside town. Sasa tu operate kama barak sasa. Hata National Park. Ukiona msana na park tunasimama kwa gate, unaenda wapi? Unaenda kujibama kuna lion. Tuko na lion, tuko na fisi hapa. Unaenda kuna mafisi huko. Tuko na mafisi huko, tunajaribu kufight mafisi. Sana nataka iko hivyo. Miss Bloom, you can speak.
Hello everyone.
Obviously, iterating kila kitu yenye kila mtu amesema. So the thing is, venye tunasema hapa hivi, that was my idea. Vile Kevin anasema, vile Mori anasema, let's make sure that the ground is hostile from A to Z. This person should not have peace. Let's make sure kila kitu iko hostile. Kama kuna mtu mwenye anakumbuka how this man came into power, is he made sure that when Uhuru was supposed to come into power, ali make sure Mount Kenya, sijui everywhere is hostile. Uhuru alikuwa anaenda kuongea, anafukuzwa. That's what needs to be done again. Hivi mtu akijaribu kwenda kuongea, akijaribu kwenda kutuma his cronies, everywhere needs to be hostile. That's the energy we need to maintain. Either he backs down or for the next 3 years. Actually sahi tumeshafika 2025, so it's just 2 years. For the next 2 years, we make sure the ground is hostile. We can do that with civic education. Unaelewa? So I've been talking to someone called McKenna. She has like a foundation and everything, but she's not been able, like hatupati feedback and all that. But kama kuna mtu mwenye ako na foundation yenye inaweza fanya civic education, please someone talk to Kevin, and then we start building this thing up. Kwa sababu we've tried cutting this thing from the neck, like to cut a kichwa. His stuff, he's proving impossible, and I proved that he can come and ashonele yo kichwa again and again and again. So what we need to do, we wanted to cut this thing from the top, so we can still cut it from the top and also build from the ground up. So kama kuna mtu mwenye akona any foundation, akona anything to do with vitu za civic education, let's do that. We can educate these people, kwa sababu ile hivi misinformation yenye uko huko hivi home and everything, especially if you have parents that who are not coming from like technology and all that, you already know, like ile misinformation yenye iko kwa ground, it's too much. Also, just kindly nipatieni to just 1 minute. I'm just looking at my notes because I had my notes over here. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, this is my first point. So my first point was to talk about, like, all of us, definitely, we are not fighting to ban our country. We already know that. All of us are fighting for a better Kenya. We know Kenya can be better. We know Kenya can be the best place to live. Hata wale watu wenye wanakaa abroad, we know that if we make this country to be good, all of us can live here. For example, mimi nilikuanga tu nasema for example, because this is something that I came across on social media. In the UK, in Scotland, there's something called the Scotland baby box. So the Scotland baby box is it's something that it's a box that the government sends you when you're expecting a baby. Like hivi box itakuwa na diapers, itakuwa na nguo za mtoi, like a week, like itakuwa na nguo kama 7 hivi, like zitaku last a week nini. Like a Scotland baby box is something that you get just because you're expecting, not because like you've asked the government, not because you are living in a house, benye mtu anaturushia hapa hivi housing funding sijui nini. You get a Scotland baby box just because you've decided to bring life to the earth. So we are asking for basic necessities. Other countries have the Scotland baby box, and hapa hivi tunataka tunaitisha maize. We are asking for maize. Tunaitisha ugali peke yake. Like, I'm like, kwani are we asking for too much? You're just asking for, give us our basic necessities, you know? So as much as they're trying to portray us as Gen Zs who want to ban the country and all that, we are just asking for basic necessities. Also, imagine asking for a Scotland baby box, and at the same time, the same government yenye tunaitisha something so simple like that, ni government yenye imetoa Linda Mama. We don't even have Linda Mama. At the end of the day, he has proven he's incompetent. So it's not even a negotiating thing. It's just like, umeshindwa kurani country, kindly patia mtu mwingine hiyo position, we try another person. Akishindwa, we're going to try another person, kwa sababu at the end of the day, we are not here for ati personal gains and all that. No, we are here because we want a better Kenya. So if you're proving that you don't want a better Kenya, and you're proving that every single policy and you wanna try kuleta, it's not for the common mwananchi, what are you doing in that seat? we need to approach you and you need to go home. Also, as much as enye tumeshinda tukiambiwa everywhere that we front a leader, I feel like it's 2 years. I feel like I'm not saying we front a leader, but I'm saying it's 2 years to the elections. How about like we just come out with just like tutafute the way people were, I'm not saying, but people were saying, okay, Tata, nini. If we can say this is not our leader, but this is the person that we are pushing for probably like better leadership, like to say, this is the person we are fronting for the 2027, because it's just 2 years. Tukiingia 2025 tutakuwa tunasema elections the next year. Evo, itakwanga like that. And we know this government has this kind of behavior of starting campaigning 2 years into the nini, 2 years before elections. They always do that. We don't have the billions that Ruto has taken, Namenda America kwa offshore account. We don't have those billions, but we have the heart of Kenya. We have the spirit to fight for this country. We have that. If we can do our civic education, if we can front this person, mwenye tuseme, this is the person that we want akuje atufungulie a new Kenya. If we can do that, that's gonna like it's a long shot, but I feel like tutakwanga tumepatia these people like a chance, not even a chance. Hatutakwanga hata tumewapatia breathing space, kwa sababu right now if we keep the ground, as I've said, if we keep the ground hostile, Ruto is not going anywhere. He's gonna be stuck here. He's gonna be moving from county to county, akisimama juu ya magari, the way he does all the time. He's gonna try and lie to our parents. The same parents, when they are so gullible, that he's gonna try and lie to them. Akiamka hivi asubuhi atakuwa anauliza Itumbi, leo niende niwadanganye nini? Leo niende nikawaambie nini? That's what he's gonna be doing. So we need to keep this ground as hostile as possible. Kabisa. Because if we give him an opportunity to go to a church, if we give him an opportunity to, give him an opportunity to go and stand on top of those cars, afadhali alipe watu. Wacha Wakenya wakule pesa zake, waende sijui warushe mikono and all that. But at the end of the day, huyu hivi mtu wa boda mwenye amelipwa hapo, akitoka akutane na sisi hapo hivi kwa ground, mwenye tunamwambia this person doesn't have our best interests, atakuwa amekula 200 yake, and at the same time amepata knowledge that this person is not a good person. So we need, me I feel like hii story yenye watu wanasema ati yo, kwani maandamano itaenda hadi lini? Hakuna siku yenye democracy ishaipatianwa on a silver platter. This person is not gonna say aki woshe ati guy woshe siwache niwapatie basi hii. No, this man has proven that he's incompetent. He doesn't respect our constitution. Mans is spitting. He's shitting on our constitution. The same thing enye tunafaa kuwa we are holding as our power. That's what he's proven, that he cannot respect. So if he cannot respect our constitution, he cannot respect us. He cannot respect us as citizens. He cannot respect us as people who are learned. Kwa sababu kila mtu anajua these people were bouncing on the young people are never gonna rise up, and we've done that. So vile unaona ukifinyilia, if you're going on a road trip, umefinyilia mafuta hadi mwisho, that's where we are supposed to be. Hakuna kuweka brakes. Tufinyilie mafuta hadi mwisho kabisa. Move from tuende tukiendanga tafadhali, kwa sababu at the end of the day people have died. This person doesn't care. He's sending fucking condolences to Trump. This person doesn't even fucking care about our lives. He doesn't care about our opinions. So at the end of the day, for Kenya amefanya, let's maintain that ground hostile. We've grounded this person for a whole month, something he's never done in all the years in Yameka PV as a president. Let's keep that ground hostile. Let's make sure he doesn't come back in 2027. Na venye tumeshikilia hiyo mafuta hapo hivi kabisa, tufinye hadi mwisho tafadhali. Me, I'm here. Also, my final point. This is my final point. I wanted to ask if there are any lawyers, because I'm not a lawyer, I'm an engineer. So I wanted to ask for the lawyers in our discuss space. How soon can we recall our MPs? We need to get these people. We are in the pits. We need to get these people out. So tukionyeshana that tukionyesha the rest of the Kenya that we can get even one single person out. Hata kama tutafocus mtu mmoja ama tutafocus watu wawili ama watatu wanne. If we can do that and prove that we can get these people out of parliament and we can front our opinions and ikae ni kama we are doing something yenye ina move this country forward. Kama kuna lawyer mwenye anaweza tuambia how we can start on recalling MPs. Sijui mbona kila mtu alinyamaza hiyo story ya recall MPs, but I feel like we need to go back there as we are doing our civic education. Let's also recall these MPs. We don't need these people in our space in 2027 ever again. Kwa sababu at the end of the day already tunajua wameshatuambia tujidishi, we do our own shit, so let's do our own shit. Kwa sababu at the end of the day this person is not listening to us, he's cheating on our constitution, and we have this law that we want to protect, and we want someone who's coming into power akuje in a legitimate way. So kama kuna lawyer kama kuna lawyer mwenye anaweza kuja tuambie how we can start recalling our MPs, because I think kuna mwenye alikuwa amesema we can start recalling them as soon as August. So if we can do that, kindly explain to us how we can start it. Me, I'm for civic education. I'm gonna volunteer for free of charge, 100%. I'm gonna do that. Sijui mother tongue, but yeah, we can try and do that, tafadhali. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you, Kevin.
Osama, acha nikokowea house na wasee ni wakora hata kuliko Ruto na siko rada yao. Acha nimalize juu nitakuwa nasikiza, lakini nilikuwa nakukwambia unaona huo dem venye amesema. Hizi ndo stories zile za jaba nilikuwa nakwambia. Wasio wanakuja hapa kushinda story. Hiyo story ya venye tutarikola watu tumeongea the past whole 1 month. Amesema kitu tulisema week 1. Ya kuja hapa kuita lawyers, tumekaa na ma lawyers sijui space ngapi. Niko advice yenye naweza kupea. Cheki Osama, acha nikwambie kitu moja. Mimi nataka acha nikwambie action, acha nilikuwa nakwambia tu kitu moja itasaidia watu. Kama unataka hii maandamano iendelee fiti, hata acha kuenda place zingine, acha kutoka kwenyu, acha kwenda Tao. Unajua sio wanakufa juu. Wase hata wengine wanakuja Tao wajui Tao vizuri. Funga barabara za kwenyu kama wewe ni wa Kiambu, kama wewe ni wa Nakuru funga barabara zenyu Nakuru, kama wewe ni wa Mukuru kwa Jenga funga barabara zenyu huko. Wasio wakae place moja, wasio wakae home. Kama mimi najua makarao wote wa home, pia wewe unajua makarao wote wa home. Ezinio story ya wasee, mimi nataka mass action. Mimi sitaki hizi story za jaba za kusema sijui tuanze kukaa hapa tusikiza maloya wakifanya nini. Tumewasikiza 1 whole month. Kenya utafanya sasa ni mass action. Na wasee sitaki wasee wapoteze lives. Na wasee kukaa home ndo hautapoteza lives. Make it impossible wasee kwenda Tao ukiwa kwenye huko. Kama uko Kiambu funga Kiambu road. Kama uko wapi funga barabara yenu. Wacha kushinda ukienda place nyingine, place hata ujui geography yake venye inakaa. Sasa mimi nataka kuambia juu hawa sasa ni wezi hata kuliko Ruto, watanitoka hapa pale. Hiyo ndio kitu mnafaa kufanya mzee. Wewe Otero, acha mimi niwasikize, unaweza drop.
Okay, Skia, I've not said tusifanye maandamano. I've said maandamano A to Z, obviously. I'm saying A to Z. Me, I'm for maandamano. I've been going for maandamano from time memorial. Nimekuwa nikienda zote. I'm fronting because kama mimi I'm from Mombasa. I've been saying watu wa Mombasa tufunge hizi hivi mabarabara nini. But some of us have very little following. Hakuna hata mtu mwenye anatusikizanga. Mimi nimekuanga nikisema if you're from Mombasa tufunge tu hapo hivi Nyali Bridge. That's what I was saying. Nilikuwa nasema hata badala ya kwenda town, wacha polisi waende wakacheze Kalongo huko hivi town, tufunge Nyali Bridge, things are gonna halt. I'm not saying I'm dismissing maandamano. 100%. Me, I'm for maandamano kabisa. Mimi, I was just fronting my opinions as well as for like the long term. Because next week, obviously, Tuesday Maandamano, Thursday Maandamano. For that 100%. I was just nilikuanga tu na front my opinion between now and 2027 because tumeambiwa tujidishe. I was just saying that it's not like I'm not for Maandamano. 100%. I'm like, let's paralyze everything and everywhere. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Willie, you can speak. Willie Oeba, you can speak.
Yo, thank you so much. I hope you can hear me. I really get the frustration here, Morio and Zenza, yeah, because the government that we are trying to move with civility is not civil. We are not dealing with a civil government. We are dealing with a conman in the name of a president. And if Kindiki can be reinstated to the same ministry, having confirmed that he didn't know the people who are shooting, and akajificha akasema, okay, it's true that the ministry now work on policies and the police is independent, but that is one thing enye Ruto ana hide under every time. Ana hide under ndio asikuwe accountable. He fired the other guy, but this week, the past week, people died, people were killed. Police service will use force. So it simply shows that Ruto is the problem. And I have a question. Does the president really have power to dismiss the attorney general? How can you remove this guy, the Justin Muturi, unaeka Miano, someone who has never practiced law for the longest time, and I belong to the same social class na kina Kipchumba Murkomen. And then the last question that I have, what is the cost of vetting CS when you wamekuwa dismissed and then reinstated to the same offices? Like, what is this gimmick? What is this gameplay? Why dismiss Kindiki tena umrudishe to the same office? Tena members of parliament wakae chini kumvet wapate sitting allowance. And then citizens, us, everyone who is here on the space, we rallied and elected Ruto, even when people say he stole the elections. You guys elected this guy knowing too well that he belongs to the ICC and not the State House. Hata kama vile watu usema anaiba, he got so much support to validate his stealing. So hata sisi tunafaa tukuwe accountable moving forward. Let us move away from tribalism. Sasa tunasema tribeless, leaderless, niniless. 2017 we say that, 2022 we say that, but when we get to the ballot box, what happens? I am a spoken word artist and I do poetry. Mi hufanya pieces kwa ma3 na everywhere mimi huenda on social justice. Allow me to do this one minute piece. Sijuzi muliona, small fish akibreak the law anakujiwa, lakini big fish akibreak the law, Nurdin Haji. The president used to be a symbol of national unity, but of late amekuwa a symbol of national disunity. Before elections, the president aliona potential voters. After elections, sahi anaona taxpayers. Kwa election yeni both the referee and the player. Kama the system na deep state ina include Kinaichungwa na Nyoro, then the deep state is very shallow-minded. Juu pesa ya kisima waliiba, and that's the damn truth. Sudden death is viewed kama spoiled votes, that's the sad truth. Hakuna food, shelter ama clothing, that's the naked truth. Mayouth hawana fare kwenda job interview, politician kenye namsumbua ni mafuta ya ndege, that's the plain truth. Life ain't easy, that's the hard truth. It's not about sagging, drugs do na create my wasted youth. Inchi mashef hawezi afford ile food wana cook. Dom optician wanalipo hawezi hata piga look. Kill sin to see God hata mtoe tithe aje ticket ya heaven na inunuliwe maimuk. Itakuwaje cry za tajiri ni intellectual lakini cry za maskini kwa masikio justice ni kelele. Itakuwaje mna believe in me na nikicheza kimimi mnashikwa na kiwewe? Itakuwaje mnaninyima opportunity ya kupata kazi lakini kwa club mnataka nipewe? Na effect ya nguvu ya thao inafika malinduru ya mnyonge iwezi fika. Ballot box na DSTV zinafika malidisha iwezi fika. Watoto wanalala njaa juu mlikunywa na pesa ya kula na vizuri mnajua pombe iwezi lika. Wanasiasa wanadanganya. Ukisaidia rafiki yako pesa yako, napoteza rafiki yako na pesa yako. Wonder why uko broken na ile hoteli unaenda ukiwa peke yako, ukiwa na manzi yako, ukiwa peke yako wewe huwezi jipeleka. Unatafuta mapenzi wapi na wewe Osama umeshindwa kujipenda? Jesus alibetrayiwa na kiss. Nyinyi mko hapa mnajichocha juu mlipewa hug. Wajinga nyinyi. Shukran. Let us occupy JKIA na support Osama. Places that matter. Tuachane na CBD. Twende JKIA. Thank you so much.
You see why I was saying
Hey, mnatusikia?
No. Ni bonge?
Ya bonga.
All right. So I like your nini yote ya the occupying the places that matters. The other place that matters matters most also ni hapa hivi Gigiri UN offices, because hiyo basically it send another signal direct to the international community. The other place that matters ni embassies, especially embassy ya Netherlands, the Hague. Hiyo ni place ingine ita send another direct message. So ni hayo kwa sasa. I'm following the conversation. I like that poetry imefanywa sahi.
Thank you about that. Yeah, you have a point. Tukaweza enda hapo nje ya Netherlands, whatever, tukae, maybe they'll listen and they'll hold these people accountable, because Ruto and the rest, they need to go back there. Mariam, tuendelee.
Asante sana. Thank you for the opportunity. Firstly, I want to comment on Miss Bloom's, I think it was Miss Bloom's submission. Hii mambo ya kusema sijui waiting for elections, doing civic education, hiyo yote ni waste of time, because we all know that elections in Kenya are not won in the ballot. So history ya kusema ati tutatokea in numbers nini, that for me is just always jokes. Elections imeibiwa all these years. So sioni kama ni a way to fix the situation. Alafu there's the gentleman who was speaking earlier about kufunga barabara za nyumbani. It's good that everyone is first coming to this agreement that CBD is not a very good idea, because mimi, just like Osama, I've done business in CBD. Na kuna kitu na kuanga mbaya kama you're supporting a cause and then your business is affected in the process. It's usually a very unfortunate situation, because wale ambao wenye mnatry kutarget, which is the politicians, huwa hawakui affected at all. That's why you see wako na hiyo kiburi saizi, because wanajua that hawafikiwi. So story ya CBD, I think ni kitu iliisha siku ya parliament, it served its purpose, lakini saizi sioni kama Ruto anasikia any effect ya watu kwa CBD. And then kufungia watu nyumbani again, I think ni sisi kujiaffect wenyewe. We're just affecting our brothers at home, but effect haizi sikika huko nini juu. So I'm 100% in support of hii idea ya kwenda airport, because saizi wanafurahia watu wakitoka airport wanaingia through expressway and they're taken to kina Westlands, wherever they need to go. They don't know what is happening huko chini, hawaelewi. Of course, international communities, mambo ya UN kuwafikia, that's also very important. Hiyo ita send us to strong message, and I know Ruto will have to listen. Lakini niko na swali moja. Do you think it will get to a point where you literally have to have clear-cut demands? Because ikifika hii point ya kusema tunataka kubadilisha politicians, mi naona ni kama it's a very bad idea. The same way tulifanya kwa cabinet. You're just changing monkeys, you're bringing them to the forest that has the same problems, and there's nothing you can do about it. But kuna situation where we can say everyone who's been implicated in corruption, number one, should not hold an office. In fact, they should step down. Hiyo ni demand moja, mimi naona lazima ifanywe na ikwe clear kwa law yetu that as long as mtu amekuwa implicated in corruption, hawezi hold public office at all. Na ana step down bila hiyo timshara, bila nini, until investigation imalizwe kabisa. I think that's one thing we need to effect. So ndo maana naona ni kama history ya kusema ati all MPs need to be recalled, all CS need wanafaa watolewe. Mimi sioni kama tuna solve any issue when it comes to such issues. Inafaa kwanza to deal na zile issues zenye tuko nazo pale ndani, zile loopholes that tunajua ni real, that can be exploited by the next people who are coming in. So swali yangu ilikuwa hivi, tukiamua tufanye hii kwenda JKIA, kwenda UN, kwenda hiyo embassy ya Netherlands, all those are very, very good ideas, because sioni kama police wanaweza unleash brutality kwa very peaceful demonstrators nje ya UN. That's a picture that the government will not want those wazungus to see, and those wazungus take those things seriously. When they see police shooting at unarmed civilians, itakuwa a very big problem for Ruto. So that's a very good idea. And asioni kama goons wanaweza tumwa huko, because goons have no business going to that area. They'll be easily spotted. So hiyo ikifanyika, before we say Ruto must go, because mi sioni Ruto kama ni mtu wa kustep down. Ruto ni mtu wa kutolewa na constitution, ama atolewe because his hands are bloody. Hiyo ni international community kumpatia pressure. So at the same time, what I wanted to ask you guys, is there any way that we can have clear demands that are going to fix the system itself? The system has to be fixed, accompanied by people being changed. So how does that process look like, Osama na Maria na Engineer Landless? How does that process look like? Because najua kitu mmesema ni no negotiations, no talking to them. Hizo vitu zote zinaeleweka, lakini who is there to give these demands that will help to change the system? That was actually my question.
Allow me to answer you, please. I think since the whole of this thing began, I mean, the clear demands have been there. The writing has been on the wall. So when you ask, well, what are the, do we have clear demands? What honestly are you talking